What's up, everyone? Thanks for joining on this rainy Sunday, at least here in the East. Um, Happy Cinco de Mayo, and waiting for Jim Pachi to come on. He should be here soon. And we're going to try to go over these topics as thoroughly as we can in a reasonable time. Of course, we're going to talk about Stellar Blade and the petition that Grums made a few weeks ago, I would say. Yeah, roughly. And yeah, so a lot of people defending the censorship. So I'm kind of curious if any of them are willing to come on or talk in the comments or whatever. Of course, I'll send out links for a few people. What's up, Mr. Gamer? Would you want the link to join when we're ready to let people on? Oh, let me put that freestellarblade on the screen. Oh, here he is.
Yo, what's up, my man? How's it going?
What up? Not much. Just went live like about a minute ago, so just waiting for
Yeah, I
you.
know I'm a little bit late. I was actually playing a WWE 2K. I was trying to save everything before getting on here, and I had my phone charging a bit, so I wanted to make sure that my battery doesn't die midstream.
Yeah, no, I feel you.
But
We definitely gotta get around to playing that.
yeah, we could do like a live play or whatever. Like we've played those games before in the past,
Yeah.
like privately, so it'll be a lot of fun. I think it'll be pretty funny actually, like hilarious. So
Yes.
yeah, that'll be awesome.
Back in the SmackDown versus Raw days.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's gonna be a good show. I'm sure Revenant's already informed everybody. We're gonna be talking about Stellar Blade for the most part. The
Sony
censorship,
censorship, and
the
also Square
controversy.
Enix losing roughly like what the fuck they said it was 140 billion. I'm sorry, million. I'm
Not,
sorry, million.
not. If they lost 140 billion, they would not only go out of business, they would owe money.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
for the rest of their, whatever. But yeah, like, and we're also gonna talk about Helldivers a bit. The main topic is gonna be Stellar Blade.
Yeah, we're gonna quickly mention that.
Yeah, there'll be a lot to go over with that, and like I said, there's a lot of like crazy ass takes out there about that, and I think we're gonna clear we're gonna clear things up because I feel like there's a lot of disingenuous talking points they use to try to silence those people. Yeah, so I think it's good that we get this sorted out and we get to the bottom of what this discourse actually is.
Yeah, real quick, what's up, Y2 Viral and Neozoic?
And Spirit.
Oh, he's here? Oh,
Spirit of Paradox,
yeah,
Y2 Viral.
Octo Commander, what's up? How you guys doing?
That Hip.
That Hip?
That's his name, right? That Hip? Am I saying it wrong? It's That Hip, right?
Let me look. Hold on.
You know why his name's That Hip, right? Because
I'm a little behind.
Because he fires from that hip, baby. Woo! Nah, let me.
What's up, Spirit of Paradox? Yeah, that Hip.
He be firing from that hip. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, when he has to,
Yeah, exactly. Octo Commander, what's up? As for your question, Neozoic, I'm just gonna answer it now, just because, like, it's still early on.
Yeah.
What is who's a more interesting or better protagonist? I kind of think Ryu is more interesting because I like the dynamic between like the Dark Hado and how his like battle to like keep his like to temper his mind and spirit and not let his like darker intentions take over. I think that's much more dynamic. I liked Mortal Kombat's world overall better before, but they've been fucking it up since MKX. I would say they've been messing it up for a while, but I think like
MKX, I mean they were trying to get rid of Liu Kang back in Deadly Alliance, so it's like with Ryu, it's like they always kept them as the main protagonist for the most part. I would say up to like Street Fighter 6, where now they're trying to have what's his face? God, what was his name again?
I don't remember his name. That's how boring he is.
Damn, I really forgot his name.
That shows you how boring he is, actually. Luke, maybe
What?
Luke. I think it's
There
Luke,
you
right?
go. Yeah, Luke. I know. I was thinking of Ian from
But
Dead
but
or Alive for some reason.
but here's the thing though that I want to mention about Mortal Kombat, because like Mortal Kombat X, they started doing all like the woke trash with like Cassie Cage and like trying to like they just like lost their heads. And like after MK9, the story had a bunch of potential. You know what's funny? I actually liked MKX up until the end where they pulled that like BS, that feminist BS at the end. And then 11, they
Hmm.
went full like Hollyweird. And then Mortal
Oh
Kombat
yeah,
1, it's like they fought the you know
yeah.
the thing. You ever seen the 1980s, the thing? It finally took them
If
over fully, and they're
yeah,
just like a skin suit.
if
So
anyone hasn't seen that movie, it's a great movie. I recommend you check it out.
yeah, yeah. It's like they basically
Very,
got
very good. But
they were
yeah,
like they were
that's a good
infected.
analogy of what they did, what happened.
They were infected, and then they like MK1. The infection's complete. Like they've fully inherited Ouroboros. They've like fully become a necromorph. Like whatever analogy you want to use, they fucked it up.
What's up,
But anyway,
AJ?
to answer the question, I think Ryu is more
A
interesting
phenomenal
as a
AJ.
character. The man on the mountain, my man, with the Simpsons pick.
I'm so behind. Yeah, Homer Simpson. Woo! Where are we at? Yeah, I'm so far behind. I'm sorry. Uh,
Street
here we
Fighter
go.
2 V. I think I might have seen that actually, Mr. Gamer.
Hell yeah, Virtua Fighter. Definitely. Man on the Mountain. Virtua Fighter
You know
deserves
what?
a lot of love, and it needs to come back with 6, not some like a remaster of 5, because they've been doing that for like years now.
They need to bring
Come on,
back
5 came
Go
out like what, 2006,
6.
2005 or something?
2005, I would argue, in
5,
arcades,
yeah.
right? And then
I think
2006, like
so. And then
consoles.
it
I don't
first
know.
came out on PS3 in was it '05 or no, because PS3 came out '06, and 360 came out late '05. So
Also,
yeah.
I don't know if Revenant mentioned it, but we're gonna have somewhat of a rotating panel. So,
They would try to keep that. So, the
we're
internet
gonna
connection and the
yeah,
delays
and
and all
just
that. And also because
exactly.
I'm gonna try to share the screen. I don't know if anyone's seen podcasts where they do on StreamYards where you can see like the screen on different tabs. Last time I tried to do it, but it was giving me issue. I think because I may have had too many tabs open because I was trying to prepare myself, and also there was a lot of
Yeah.
people on. So I'm gonna see like
Don't worry, I gave him a firm scolding. I gave him
yeah,
a firm talking to. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Like Rev does whatever the hell he wants to
yeah,
do.
yeah,
Don't
yeah.
don't
He just
complain.
he just gives
Don't
me
take.
suggestions or like
I just suggested it. I'm not like. Let me not even go there because
yeah.
that's like fucked up.
Or
Like,
yeah, yeah. Or he'll be like, so he'll just like say like, maybe this will work, maybe that will work, that type of
yeah,
thing.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Other than that,
Because
we just playing around.
basically like because this podcast is like basically our like collective idea to do it. It's like our co-podcast, but because I don't talk about as much political stuff on my channel, it's just easier to do it here. You know what I mean? So it just makes more sense to
Yep.
do it on Rev's channel. But yeah, it's like it's kind of like a 50-50, you know?
Oh hell yeah, we definitely need a bully too.
I want them to bring back Virtual Fighter, and I want them to make it like not. I don't want it to be realistic per se. I just want it to stay grounded, but like amp up the effects, right? Because my favorite character is Go. I don't know if you guys know who Go is, and his fighting style is judo. And it'll be so cool if like you know how like in some games like you do a throw like a special cutscene plays. I would love it if like they just show like their body like smashing against the concrete and like throw some slow mo effects, have like rocks and like dirt kick up and stuff. Like I feel like Virtual Fighter is a great game, but what turns people off is the presentation. So it doesn't have to be over the top. They could keep it grounded, but just make the presentation like more dynamic. I think that would do a lot for them, in my opinion.
Definitely. Yeah, they definitely need that for the next one because they can't just rely on the same shit they've been doing for years. That's kind of where how it got them to where they are now, where it's like you really don't even know what the future holds for that series, unfortunately.
And also
Despite it
like
being like the first like 3D fighter, from what I remember.
and also keep in mind that I'm incredibly biased, right? Because if I was in development for that game, I would like put a shit ton of like effects on like the throws and stuff because like I train judo, I train Brazilian jiu-jitsu, MMA or whatever, so I'm like super biased. So take that with a grain of salt, but I still think they should do like that kind of thing, you know, like. But who knows, man? That series I think is
Yeah.
going to be dead for a long time. It might be gone forever, honestly.
Yeah, I think they kind of mishandled the what was it, Ultimate Edition or what Ultimate Showdown or whatever they called it. Because it's like
Yeah.
so limited and it's like
Well, they
anyone's
suck.
online and
They
shit. And
actually
then
removed it.
also
They
they
actually
removed a
removed
bunch of
content.
customization items, and they even removed like additional like one or two like costume presets. You know how like you have like different costumes you can pick and also edit. I think they
Mhm.
like removed like one or two of them that they had
Yeah.
originally with Final Showdown.
They took down like
So
they took out like 80% of the content in that game, honestly.
yeah,
It
they
feels
stripped
very
it down.
it feels like it's built just for the competitive scene, which sounds nice, but you have to remember that that's
Yeah,
incredibly boring. If like you need to have like a balance between customization, player choice, and the competitive scene for a good fighting game. Because it's not like it was 20, 30 years ago where you got your character that was it. Now it's like you have
yeah.
games like
It's
Tekken
so
and
advanced now, right?
yeah, there's no excuse to like, especially since they're stripping it down from what they had before. I want to address Mr. Gamer's comment. I agree. The only game that had any sanctity of goodness was the first Watch Dogs. 2 and 3 are
Yeah,
abominations, and even
yeah,
then, Watch Dogs 1 was a mixed bag. But I like the story and I like the direction. 2 and 3 are utter dog shit, and I don't care what anyone says to like try to justify it. They freaking suck. The only thing that 3
yeah.
did that was remotely interesting was the idea that you can recruit civilians and they're different from each other, but it's executed so poorly that it doesn't even matter. That
Unfortunately, yeah.
the idea might have been good, but it was executed very badly.
Yeah,
So
we
I think
basically explained that last time where it's like they had good ideas, but the execution was all wrong. So that was kind of like the
it
whole
just sucks.
yeah, that's
It's
like
the game sucks.
the running story with the series.
Yeah, but Watch Dogs 1 I
But
think was pretty good. I liked Watch Dogs 1. I basically agree
yeah,
with what Mr. Gamer said.
yeah.
That's the only one that really like to me had a chance to survive in my opinion.
Yeah. So before we give our quick little thoughts on Stellar Blade, because we had finished it. You had finished it on stream, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I finished it last night. Um
Yeah.
and I really
And
wanted to get around to finishing it because I knew we were gonna obviously we were gonna talk about it on the podcast, but I at least wanted to be able to say like, all right, I finished the game, so I know how everything is done from beginning to end. I experienced the game for what it was, uncensored, by the way. Uh,
and to, yeah, yeah.
and
No, I'm sorry, I keep interrupting you. Continue.
no, oh yeah, no, I was just gonna say that before we get into that, let's quickly address Helldivers 2. So not only did the game apparently launch broken, from what I understand, um, I don't know if they fixed a bunch of those issues or not, but now Sony has implemented where people on PC have to make a PlayStation Network account in order to play the game
Yeah.
online. And
Mhm.
from what I understand, I believe Spirit of Paradox had mentioned on Reborn's podcast the other day that it has to do with griefing. So, and I'm thinking to
Um,
myself, like, there's like
that's bullshit though. It's a
better
bullshit
ways of
excuse.
handling that, and I just
But
yeah, and I feel like
but
it's an
it's a BS
excuse just for
excuse.
them to
Pad out their
uh
PSN numbers because I
yeah,
actually because it's
yeah,
funny you say that because like you didn't need one before, so needing one now is like it's just an ass pull on Sony's part. And remember
yeah,
not every country supports PSN, so you could argue, all right, there might be some small country where, or like a country that's like like a smaller country that might not have PSN, but what are you gonna say? Fuck them. They paid for the game. They bought the game. They have a right to play it just like
yeah, fucked
anyone
up.
else does.
You can't just
Like
I mean,
like
that's another bait and switch from Sony.
even if it's just let's say you have a like let's say for all intent and purpose that there's a country that has maybe like only like 1,000 players. The country is so small, only 1,000 players are actually playing hell divers. Those are still customers. You can't just shit on them because they're the minority in this case because they bought the game, and they need to be, and you need to be online to
Yeah,
play that. So it's not like it'll be something different if it was like they're trying to implement woke stuff to like appeal to small to loud vocal minorities, but like this is like a game that they literally just can't play that they purchase unless they have PSN. So I think
yeah,
that's
it's
really
fucked up.
egregious, and there's really no reason for it other than Sony trying to pad their numbers. Because I actually I
Yeah,
saw a couple posts about it, and I was thinking about it. I'm like, why would they want people to forcibly have PSN? And I don't think griefing is the real reason. I really don't.
I don't think so either. That's just a cop out excuse just for them
Because
to.
people could still
They don't
grief
want to.
with
They
a
don't want to
PSN
tell you.
account.
Yeah, they don't. They don't want to tell you the real reason why.
Yeah, it's
It's
just to
just
pad
like
out
with
their
the
numbers.
censorship with Stellar Blade, like Kim. What I can't forget his. I forgot his name. Something Kim. CEO was shipped up. Claiming that it was intended, but I mean we'll get into that. But it's just Sony taking another L because they want to do dumb shit, basically.
Yeah, what Mr.
But
Gamer said is true. It doesn't matter how small the nation is. They
mhm.
they're forcing them to have PSN in order to play, and if they can't, and what makes it sickening is that it's not accessible to everybody.
Exactly.
So if
Yeah, it's
if
fucked
it's not
up.
accessible, that means you literally can't play it.
Um. Oh, Roll Royce. I've heard for years they were going to possibly do a Simpsons Hit and Run 2, but one of the reasons because I think EA owns the license for the Simpsons games, and they have some mobile game called Tap Out, Simpsons Tap Out. That's getting them a lot of money, so they don't want to do another Simpsons game like on console and PC.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they should do it. I will. You know what? Actually, no, no. I don't want them to make another one because it's going to be current day Simpsons, and current day
And which is
Simpsons
woke as
fucking
hell.
sucks.
And yeah,
And
and
yeah,
they're,
so
and
they're
they're
gonna do some dumb shit. It's EA. It'll be different if a Simpsons Hit and Run 2 came out like maybe like 2 years after the first one, or maybe not long after the Simpsons game that came out on fucking almost everything like
and
360,
and and
Xbox, PS2, PS3.
and also just like think about the state of modern gaming. Like it'll be like it would just be bad, man. Like I really like I'm somewhat of a I can be somewhat pessimistic at times. I don't know if I want to say realist, pessimist. I don't know what the word is, but you see EA, you see current Simpsons with their like far left leaning shit. It's like there's really like very
Mhm.
little chance that game won't be like political as hell, and that's assuming
Yeah,
that the gameplay is even good and that it's not filled with microtransactions. But we know it's EA, so it'll be like a hack job.
or
Um,
like or have like a lot of like oh real quick. What's up, Christian? But yeah, we're gonna let some people on soon, but we're gonna what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, but with the Simpsons Hit and Run, they may do something where a lot of these games now they they have the force. You gotta walk slowly, stealth sections, crafting. They're gonna try to do a bunch of RPG crap that no one asked for.
or
You know what I mean?
alternatively, they'll go the opposite route and it'll be like some borderline mobile game level of cheapness.
Yeah,
It'll be
that
it'll be
too.
a gotcha game where you play as Simpsons characters or something like that.
Yeah,
Like I don't
you
know,
can
man.
spend real world currency like $50 for a
I
thousand
we
gold coins or some shit.
in the end of the day, we don't know, but I strongly believe that there's very little chance that game isn't full of crap when it comes out. And as far as what you said about Watch Dogs being Japan, um, I have
That'll
no
be nothing.
faith.
It
I
sound
have
it
no
sounds
faith in
nice,
them.
but yeah,
I
I
have no
don't.
faith in them.
Who
Like, look
knows?
at what
Because
they've done
you gotta
with,
have Assassin's Creed in Japan. You gotta play as a fucking black samurai.
but
What's the word?
a retainer that they made into a
There you
freaking
go.
samurai.
Yeah. What
But
was his name?
but like uh
Sasuke. What's his
no,
name?
I think it's Yosuke, right? Or
Yosuke. That's what
Yasuke?
it was.
Yasuke?
Yeah, whatever
Yasuke?
the
I
fuck.
don't remember.
Yeah. So
But
who knows what they'll do if that's even
it's
true or not.
it's remember, it's French Canadian. It's a massive
Yeah.
French Canadian corporation. Like that should tell you what you need to know about them. Like and what they're gonna
Yeah.
do. I
Immediate
mean,
red flag should go off.
and also remember that with Watch Dogs, like think about every series they had. Every series they had, they turned them into some like microtransaction filled game that's like has no stakes, right? Like Assassin's Creed was ruined because they took away all the stakes. They didn't care about the mainline story anymore. The game solely exists to be cash-ins, right? And they just like the
Yeah.
overarching plot has been ruined. Like there's no reason to care about anything that happens outside the animus. So it makes the stuff that happens within the animus kind of worthless because it's already happened. It's past tense. The only value you can get is from the character's story within that historical piece you're playing, like their adventure. But in the end of the day, it's going to go nowhere, and the next game will be in another region, and that will go nowhere either. So Ubisoft games are basically like they're meaningless. They have no. I feel like Ubisoft games have no substance. Like they're like a lot of
Really, yeah.
content, that has no value. Like no, there's nothing
Just
there.
filler. They just want you to keep
It's
playing
filler. Yeah, it's
until you
filler.
just get bored, but then you get bored within hours because it's like it's so soulless. It's like a
And
shell of its
as
former self, especially when
and
you have
as
these
much as
ongoing series that are
Mhm.
being like reduced to this shit when they deserve better. Especially when you got fans who stuck
That's
around for years and are trying to stick around and trying to be excited, but it's hard to be excited when they're doing the same tired bullshit that they've been doing for so many years now, and then you see why they're, you know, like laying off a bunch of people, and the games aren't selling well.
that's why I'm glad that Splinter Cell has been gone, because it ended around 2013, I believe. And I know they had a cameo in Ghost Recon, but I'm glad that it basically ended, because it ended right when the wokeness
Well,
really
they
started
got
ramp.
that remake that they're working on,
Well, right when the wokeness
the
ramped
update
up, that's when
for modern day.
they stopped playing they stopped making sequels right when around 2013, and wokeness really ramped up around then. So I'm glad that it wasn't around. And we all know what's going to happen with that remake, like, made for modern audience, all this shit. Like I shudder to think about what's going to happen to Grimm's daughter and
Oh yeah,
Sam. And Sam's a very masculine, like gruff character. How they're gonna like emasculate him and like bitch him out. I mean, you could
yeah.
say
You know they're
that
gonna do that.
you could say that that's speculation, but come on, every other male hero has gone through this. Look at Joel,
Yeah.
like fatherly hero. Even Batman wasn't safe, and I would never have thought they would do that to
Oh
Arkham
yeah.
Batman. So if Arkham Batman's not safe, neither is Sam. Um, Snake,
Kiryu ain't safe either.
Kiryu's not safe. I would argue that in the last Yakuza game, they kind of made bitched out Kiryu a little bit.
Yeah,
A little bit. Like,
a little bit. I mean, we'll see how it goes with the next one.
yeah, like
'Cause
they're definitely
I think
like,
it's gonna get worse from there, in
and
my opinion,
they had
especially
freaking
when you consider what they're doing.
what's his name? They had what's his name? Freaking damn, I can't remember his name from the new character that you play as with the afro.
Ichiban,
Ichiban. There you
Ichiban,
go. Ichiban acts like a cuck in that
for
game.
real. Yeah,
Like, I get that
they
it was done for comedy, but I do not buy the vibe of Ichiban from Seven. This Ichiban from Seven, I don't feel like he would behave as simp like as he did in Infinite Wealth.
yeah. What's up, True J Bird?
So I mean, like,
Yeah,
again, it's just my perspective. You guys don't have to agree with it, but based on track records, I'm not going to ignore the patterns.
yeah,
Christian,
but
just hold on for a
yeah,
second. We'll let people on in a few.
yeah, just a few minutes or so. But
Also,
what the
by the
fuck?
way, this is a little bit of a plug. I made a animation where I kind of undid the the ending of Batman and Suicide Squad, and it's doing pretty good. It has about like 600K views. So if anybody's interested, they could check that out soon. Maybe after the stream or something. I'd appreciate it. But I might do one for Joel and
Yes,
stuff, and like,
it's very good.
and plus I
Yes,
have
please
fun.
do one for Joel. Rectify
I,
what they did.
I have fun just humiliating the writers, because like I'm like, I could take your story and the corner you try to write these characters in, and not only will I undo the corner, I'll humiliate and clown the shit you try to do. So I
Mhm.
love doing that. So I might do a Joel one as well.
I like that idea, Mr. Gamer. That's a good idea.
Yeah, Ichiban
What
had.
they should have done. Yeah.
I agree, man. Ichiban had so much potential, and they just did some like simp cuck stuff in
It's like nothing happened in
Infinite Wealth.
7. It's like, you
I
know what I
just
mean? It's like nothing happened in 7. I'm like,
I
"What the
just like
fuck? Like, why
the
is
way
he
he was like
acting like
the way
this?"
he was cheering, because like
Yeah.
I feel like part of it is like Japanese, like comedy and Japanese sensibilities, but
Yeah.
it does feel like woke sympatry. Maybe
I
I'm
mean,
like,
fucking, Yokoyama, explained that they work closely with the localizers.
yeah, so
So
exactly, yeah.
he embraces change, so and then you
I,
got,
Mr. Gamer made a good point.
Sega Sammy, which involves, ESG and all that shit and DEI, so I explained that in both videos, and the Yakuza simps, or Like a Dragon simps rather,
They'll defend anything. It's like Final
yeah,
Fantasy VII fans. They'll defend anything.
exactly.
You know. Joel would crush that muscle bound bitch. He was stronger, bigger, more exactly, exactly. And even like they had, I find it hilarious that they had to write him into a corner where he's in a room surrounded by people, unable to defend himself. They had to like write him, they had to write that into the story to justify that terrible like scene, because we all know Joel would never be so trusting toward like these strangers. And then like I like don't worry. If I make that video fixing it, it's gonna make sense. Trust me, it's definitely gonna
It'll
make
make
sense.
more sense than what Naughty Dog shit out.
Yeah, like he would never let his guard down like that. And then for Tommy to just blatantly say, "Yeah, I'm Tommy Miller. That's my brother Joel." Like it's like, get the hell out of here. These guys are like seasoned brutes with a lot to lose, who have done bad shit and can't trust anyone, because even Joel has done enough damage where there's gonna be people that want revenge on him. So why would he go out of his way to make his identity known to people that he just met? Like, come
Yeah,
on,
real quick,
man.
Neozoic. I probably wouldn't have even made the game, to be honest, because I feel like it's not needed.
All right,
But
if I would
if anything, you can just watch Jim Pachi's animation where he
if I were to make that game,
laid out how it should have been.
well, I made that video in context with what they did in the game, so I had to make it like somewhat continuous with the position they put the characters in. But like, for example, if I were to make that game, the Sushi Squad game, what I would do is I would make it that the league. All right, if we're under the assumption that Brainiac has to control the Justice League and you have to fight them. If those are the key things that we can't change, this is what I would do. I would make it that Brainiac does. They don't just stupidly go into his ship. I would make it that Brainiac does something really dirty, recruits other villains that are extremely powerful, and they like subdue the heroes and force and end up forcing them to be brainwashed that way, instead of them just being retarded and going into a skull ship, assuming in good faith, assuming that this guy has good intentions. Then I would make it that the Suicide Squad are pretty much they're defeated early on in the game, and Batman, instead of Wonder Woman, Batman is the only one that is not controlled. So Batman defeats the Suicide Squad, and then he kind of uses them as pawns to help him free the Justice League. Then after he frees all the Justice League members, they team up and then they fight Brainiac and like other powerful villains like Mongol and whatever villains that Brainiac recruited. And I think that would be a much better game. I also wouldn't make it like a looter shooter. What are those kind of game called? Whatever, like soulless cash in, like games as a service. It would be an actual like a more like an Arkham game where you can play as all those characters that the other Justice League members. So the Suicide Squad wouldn't even really be like playable. They would just be like story characters, and it's really about Batman and the Suicide Squad saving the Justice League, and then them all teaming up to fight Brainiac. I think that would have made much more sense with the lore, and it would have led to future games where you play as the other members. If that makes sense.
That sounds a lot better than what they came up with, to be honest. But Y2 Viral, yeah, that is actually a good idea. But I think with the fighting game community, I probably would need Jim Pachi to join the video, because he's more in tune of what like more the stuff that goes down with Evo and those type of people. Like he's more familiar with some people who are in the fighting game community, like streamers or whoever. So
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
But yeah, like that writing is terrible. Like honestly, I wish DC would hire me. Like, I mean, I don't want to work for them because they're bitches now. But at least if I was in charge, the game wouldn't have been like that. Like, if that makes sense.
so before we let people on, let's quickly just give our thoughts on Stellar Blade, since we had both finished it. I'll let you go first because I know you had streamed the ending of it. I mean, I didn't watch it because I knew it was gonna be spoilers, and I'm like, I
All
don't
right.
want to watch it. So
So, uh, or if you want me to give my thoughts in general?
yeah.
So
Obviously, no spoilers or anything like that.
okay, so as far as gameplay goes, I really like it. To me, it reminds me a lot of Sekiro, and I know some people might say, "Oh, I don't know if it's like Sekiro, or whatever." It's a lot like Sekiro. Like that, maybe the presentation is really different, but like the nature of like the combat and like the flow of the combat and like having to do certain techniques to block certain unblockable things and whatever. It's very similar, which I like, because if you're gonna do a Souls character action game, which is what Sekiro kind of is as well, it's like a Souls game with a fixed character with a skill tree. I think that personifies Stellar Blade as well. I find the game very fun. The combat satisfying. It's very weighty, which I like, because one thing that I hate in pseudo action RPGs is when you're hitting enemies and it feels like you're like swinging at like air. There's no reaction, so the enemies are very reactive. It's very gory. I like the costumes. Obviously, I think the character models are beautiful, and they're made by people who aren't liars and don't lie to themselves, in the sense that they know what the hell a woman is and they understand that this is entertainment. There's a lot of disingenuous arguments talking about how the story has no depth, but I think to say that about Stellar Blade, I think would be to say that about something like Ghost in the Shell. I don't want to give spoilers, but I think if you played like if you're gonna say Stellar Blade has
like a weak story,
a
or
weak story,
or just generic,
whatever, it's almost like you're also disrespecting the concepts that it borrows from, like the Matrix, Near Automata.
Yep.
What's the other one I mentioned before? Near Automata.
Wasn't that it? Near Automata, Ghost in the Shell.
Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that in the game, and I think like the game kind of encourages you to find like memory logs and stuff, so you can like flesh out like the backstory of like the characters. And by the end of the game, it becomes
kind of like with like Dark Souls, for example, where like you pick up like
logs and
that
stuff,
explains the lore and all that.
Yeah,
Logs, there you go. Yeah,
and
obviously other games do it, but just to make it easier for people, like kind of like Dark Souls or other games like that. I know Castlevania Lords of Shadow 1 and 2 had that, where like
even Ghost in Castlevania Mirror of Fate also does that as well. But basically, the story is much deeper than people give it credit for. Eve is not just a character that's all about sex appeal, because her sex appeal is never really referenced in the main game at all. Like they never make a point about. They never make a point about it. Like throughout the entire game, it's like one of those things as the player. Like for me as the player, I like women with. I mean, I like hot women, right? Because I'm a grown ass man. I'm not gonna apologize for that. And for me, it's like if I use those costumes, it's because I want to enjoy them, but it doesn't detract from the story for me. I feel like it's just eye candy while I'm playing the story. But there are also several costumes that are much more tame. They're much more covered up, I guess you would say.
There's a lot of them, actually.
Yeah, I would argue most of the costumes are actually covered up.
It's actually kind of a good balance.
It's a good balance,
where it's like, yeah.
And I think like if you want to just play the game and you want to tone that down, there are plenty of outfits to do that with. But yeah, her character is very stoic.
If for whatever reason you feel kind of like sick to your stomach that you see a little bit of titties and ass or something,
Yeah, and also Makoto. It reminds me of Major Tom from Makoto. Yeah, from Ghost in the Shell. Like her disposition.
Yeah, I got that vibes too.
Or even like Tubi a little bit, like with like the stoicness. And I don't want to give spoilers, but it makes sense with the story. It actually is in line with what's happening.
If people pay attention to the story and the events, and also side quests, and obviously the logs that you pick up and all that,
and even the main story, even just the main story
too. Yeah, even if you just mainly just follow the main story, you'll see that it's like a lot to it, and it's very thought provoking.
Yeah, but that's also very good. That's also up into the player's ability to recognize what's happening in the story, as opposed to like that's one of those games I think a lot of people went into in bad faith. So they chose to not accept the story for what it is, right? They had already had a bias. But I think it was pretty good. And I mean, some plot points they kind of led up to and they made sense. And it's kind of like, I want to say it was like blatantly obvious, but like it's like you're already kind of leaning in certain directions. Some things were obvious. The game can be challenging. I did all the final 4 bosses. I did it in my last stream, which was like maybe like less than 2 hours. So I don't think it's impossible. I mean, like, yeah, I'm kind of like familiar with Souls games and those kind of games. So maybe that's why it wasn't that hard for me. Like, I want to say it wasn't that hard. I did die, but like I didn't really like feel like it was horrible because I'm used to Souls games, and that game is very and Stellar Blade is very forgiving.
So in most Souls game, you'll be put way back. You'll lose experience or whatever. In Stellar Blade, you're basically just put at a checkpoint. So you can fight these bosses endlessly with very little consequences. So I think it really comes down to,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, I don't want to say like the get good argument because I don't like it, but I don't think it's really like hard. I would say it's not hard as hard as other games in the genre. I think that it's pretty tame, and I played it on normal. So there's a lot
It
of
kind
depth
of
to the
remind me,
mechanics.
I guess, like as far as like the difficulty, maybe it's kind of something similar to Code Vein,
Like Cold Vein, I would
maybe where
argue
it's
it's
like
like Sekiro.
it's
It's like an easier
difficult,
Sekiro.
but it's not impossible. Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah. I mean,
it's
I
like an
wouldn't say like
easier
the Dark Souls
Sekiro.
games are impossible, but yeah.
It's like an easier Sekiro. If you play Sekiro, imagine Sekiro but more forgiving. That's really what it reminds me of. And also there is depth to the combat.
I hate
A
when
lot of people
Microsoft has to advertise to you on your computer.
I hate that crap. But
Yeah,
that's
just
all.
did
I'm
that
not even
now.
don't even mention
Yeah,
that because that's a whole nother podcast. I'll fucking
yeah,
Microsoft. But anyway,
yeah.
so there is depth to the combat because there are mechanics in the game that people ignore. For example, using certain moves will stun even bosses. So you can actually like stop bosses from doing these like crazy attacks by doing certain moves. So I'm this is a little bit of a spoiler, but it's not like a story spoiler. There's certain moves that knock down enemies on hit. That applies to bosses. So you can actually use these special moves to do like a third reversal on them, which I consider a third reversal any game that has a mechanic that's not a true counter but can work as a counter. It's basically a third reversal, and you can use that to
Mhm.
check the bosses and bully them. So if you watch my last stream, basically once I figured out the boss's patterns, I was able to like pretty much bully them. And again, I was playing it on normal. Um, I think
Without
the
the day one
parry
patch, by the way.
without the day one patch. So even I was playing a version of the game with which has a more latency, basically less responsiveness. So if I can beat the game like that and
Yeah, me
basically
too.
beat the final four bosses in less than 2 hours, I think any player can really do that. I really don't think it's that hard. I think if you're playing it on easy, I hate to say it, but if you're playing on easy, that's really bitch made. You're basically like
Yeah,
a little bitch. I'm sorry.
yeah. I wish they didn't have difficulty options. They just like
Because
you
it's not that
pay the
hard.
game
I
to
feel
get
like
new game
normal
plus or something. Yeah,
yeah, like I feel like normal was like I want to say easy, but like it's not hard. So I feel like playing it on easy mode is pretty bitch made. I think like you can't get a good grasp of the combat in easy mode because you don't have to do certain things. Because like again, if a boss does something that can kill you very quickly, you're forced to counter it and you're forced to use the mechanics in the game to get around it because the consequences for failing are pretty high. When you're playing on easy, these bosses don't do enough damage for you to be worried about the attacks they're doing. So I don't think you can really judge a game's combat by playing it on easy mode. I think normal is as the game is intended. And I think that's usually a giveaway to how much depth the combat really has in these kind of
hmm
games. I think that applies to Stellar Blade. Um, so
yeah.
yeah,
So let me
because
quickly.
mhm.
Oh no,
Well,
you
I
guys.
had a bit more to say because you said to give my thoughts
Okay,
on the game. So
okay, okay. Right,
um,
right,
and I'm trying to be as direct as descriptive as possible.
right, right, right.
So yeah, like you need to be able to for a game for you to gauge a game's difficulty you have to respect the mechanics. If you're taking like no damage from these attacks because it's on easy mode, you don't need to respect the mechanics, therefore you're not really playing the game anymore, right? So I think that that's an important distinction. But as far as the music goes, I love the music. I think the music's very good. The music in the overworld that plays like generally throughout like certain areas of the game, it's kind of like a weird like sort of like K-pop song. It kind of sounds like K-pop songs, but I think it fits the aesthetic of the game because basically Eve is a glorified like K-pop model. Like that's what like K-pop artist. That's what she seems like to me. Like just like based on like her look, and I think the game really wants to lean into that. The boss themes are epic. The battle themes are epic. I can only say good things about the music. Um, yeah, the music's amazing in the game. I really liked it. One flaw of the game is the platforming. The platforming is I like that it's there because it reminds me of older games where you had to platform. But the problem is that there's some like mechanical things going on where like Eve will like change direction midair, or she'll have like kind of like be on ice skates when she like lands from certain jumps. I don't know if this is due to the responsiveness. Again, I didn't play the patch version, so maybe they did patch that out and fix it. but they do a lot. There's a lot of like weird sketchiness with the platformer. I agree, Mr. Gamer. Yeah, I feel like it fits the game. I mean, obviously, Metal Gear Rising soundtrack is freaking amazing, but yeah, all the lyrics, the story, it matches the story and it matches the settings of what you're doing. So if you listen to the lyrics or like really listen to the beat, I'll have Revenant, because Revenant's the true host of the podcast right now, of the
Host with the
streamer.
most.
He basically has access to everything, so I'll have him play certain themes. There's a theme called Belial, which is one of the bosses you fight, and it fits the character perfectly because
that's the name of the song.
Yeah, it's called like Belial
Okay.
because it's his boss theme basically. But the music fits all the battles, and it's very similar to Metal Gear Rising in that way. That's a very good point, Mr. Gamer. So yeah, the music is good. One weakness is that I can admit is that when it comes to the world building is very good, but the game is kind of like they don't do enough character development with other characters. Like Eve and even Lily Lily and gets a decent character development, but Eve, she's basically we basically get, honestly, Eve, you're told everything you really need to know about her within the context of the game, but Adam, they don't give you enough character development with him, and I think that affects the choices you make at the end. I felt personally like it was kind of like an unfair choice because the game doesn't really like do a great job of developing him. And I think, I'm not going to give any spoilers, but a lot of things about Adam are very important at the end of the game. And I feel like I knew a lot of it because I did a lot of the lore, finding the memory sticks and data banks and stuff. But if you're just breezing through the game, I don't think there's enough character development to justify you making a choice at the end like that. But it was good, and it's to me that's a minor gripe because the story is pretty coherent still. You can tell what's happening. Basically, like it's pretty like clear at the end what everything's exposed and explained properly. So it's just that I kind of wish they developed the characters more. It just would have made the decisions kind of make more sense, toward the end. But overall, I think it was a great game. I would give it, for me, I'm very cheap with scores. So like for me, like I would give it like a 8.5 to a 9 out of 10, which is a very good score for me because most games I think are dog shit, and very few games for me like reach that level. So yeah, those are my thoughts. I think it's great, and I think everyone should play it. I think a lot of the criticisms are bullshit and very disingenuous. There are a lot of disingenuous arguments about the game. So it is what it is. All right, I said a lot. I'm sorry, guys. Bear with me with that, but hopefully I was very descriptive.
Okay, so let me quickly explain before we start letting people on already. So I pretty much agree with everything you were saying. So I mean, it's great you broke it down too. But I'll try to keep it short and sweet. The soundtrack is great. It's very memorable. Like kind of like you have the song stuck in your head. You start thinking about it during the day. It's like that's when you know you have a really good soundtrack. It kind of reminds me a bit of Nier music from Nier and also Final Fantasy 13 in particular. As far as like the how it is with some of the vocal tracks and the regular like instrumental like ambient music.
Mhm.
The combat's really good. I can't speak as far as like the differences between the patched version and the not getting the day one patch version because I played it without the day one patch. So played it uncensored. The outfits are really nice. I missed a lot of them because I didn't, I didn't want to do like everything like in the game because at some point I was like, all right, I want to progress. I want to do it already, and I would say the enemy variety is somewhat lacking.
Oh
In
yeah,
some
yeah, yeah.
areas.
There could be more
So
enemy variety for sure.
yeah, so that's one of the reasons why, like, I'm just gonna progress from the story from here.
But the
And
enemies that were in the game were pretty good. They were
no,
pretty cool.
the
Cool.
enemy
They look good.
designs, despite there being not a large variety of different enemies, the designs were really good in my opinion, especially the bosses.
Yeah,
So I
for
really
sure.
like that. The areas you go in, it's good and it makes sense to where you're at and all that. I
Yeah.
particularly like the more claustrophobic areas, like you're going underground, like in certain places like that, like sewers, and not sewers, but like it looks like underground, like train station looking type of shit.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
look really cool.
yeah,
And the lore as far as like, the character developments from the side characters that give you quests. Everything I like how everything kind of ties into what's going on. I know I think The Witcher 3 did that where it kind of like everything kind of connects. And also Nier does that as well, especially Automata.
yep. And
Um
to
the
add on to your point, I just want to say this because I forgot to mention it. Lily has a really nice. I really like Lily's design because like she looked like an anime character come to life. Like Eve,
yeah,
Raven,
the bubbly like character, yeah.
yeah, all the characters in the game were, in my opinion, look really. They look, especially the female characters. They're
Hell yeah, the female designs are like great. Like I'm like,
great. Yeah, yeah,
finally, thank you. Like, some
yeah,
games, like even some Eastern games, like the Japanese games, they'll have like some like good like female characters, and then other times it's like, all right, clearly you just wanted to like, have this balance between like what you really wanted to make these characters look like to what you're trying to cater to like journalists and woke weirdos that don't give a shit about your games. So,
yeah,
but I'm glad Stellar Blade, even like the side characters, like a lot of them, they're
yeah.
designed really well.
Like Anya, like
They
Enya.
yeah,
Enya was nice. So I mean, like there
yeah.
are. So I wanna say something. I heard a criticism, and it kind of pissed me off, and it was about Kaya.
Oh you shouldn't mention that when we bring them on.
Okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay. I'll wait. I'll wait
yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
that was really
We got a
fucking
lot to
weird.
say about that.
That was weird as hell, and
Yeah,
I feel like if you're gonna take it there,
yeah.
that reflects more on you personally than on the game. To be
Mhm.
honest,
Yeah, he
um,
he thought he was slick
that
by
was.
deleting the video too.
I don't. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to say that because I don't fucking know. But I'm definitely
Yeah,
I want him to explain himself there because I thought
yeah,
that was fucking
yeah.
weird. I
Hopefully he
thought that
doesn't
was
flake
really.
out this time. I mean,
I,
last time he explained why, but I mean, hopefully this time,
well,
he
if he
does
doesn't
come
show
on
up, then I'm gonna
for
say what
sure.
I'm gonna say.
And
Then.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Regardless, we're gonna say it anyway. But
because that was weird.
yeah, the combat was really fun. I see the Sekiro comparisons. I played a little bit of that game, but it was kind of too much for me. I ain't gonna lie. And I'm not really great at these type of games. I'm not gonna lie. With like these Souls type of games.
Yeah.
So I was able to get through it on normal difficulty without the day one patch. My vision is like complete shit. So when I'm like aiming the gun and shit, this shit far away, like especially a certain boss. I'm not gonna spoil, but that shit's like fucking irritating. I'm like, ah, fuck,
There's actually
whatever.
two bosses
And I
that do
try,
that. There's actually
yeah,
two,
yeah,
but
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, roughly,
It's
yeah.
like it can be annoying. Like for
Mhm.
me, it wasn't that bad once I figured out what we had to do. But like for somebody with bad eyesight, like it's I can see that being like really fucking hard, especially because
Yes.
like certain things blend in with the background, if you know what I'm saying,
Mhm.
and it's not
Yeah.
it's
That's why
not
I kind of understood why they had the yellow paint on areas.
yeah,
Even though
yeah,
it's
yeah,
like it's still kind of annoying in a way because you see it in other games and it's like, why do you even have this? But considering like the color palette that they use for like the areas in the game, it does make sense in a way.
to
So I
have
get
it.
that.
I think they should
But
have went with a darker color. They should have went with like a red or something, or like a
yeah,
blue. I think they would have been even more obvious because I feel like even the yellow kind of blends in the background a bit.
yeah, it does a
I just
bit.
want to
Yeah,
say,
and
Mr.
and
Gamer,
also
before you
yeah, yeah,
continue, I just want to say, Mr. Gamer, I'm more of like the Souls fan than Revenant is.
yeah,
Between the two of us, he plays some of them, but like I'm more of like the guy that like really
yeah.
between
I
us
like
that plays
Neo.
them.
I like Neo and Code Vein. They're really good.
But
I
near,
know
Re- but near,
you don't like Neo, right?
I
You
I
can get
I
into
have a
it.
I didn't like this the way the stamina meter worked with the combos in Neo. I didn't like it. I know like yeah, you do the what's the spirit thing called?
Key pulse, right?
Key pulse. I know you have to do the key
Well,
pulse.
but yeah, you can also summon your spirit, and I think it regenerates everything
Yeah,
because it
and
has
stuff
like this
like
like weird
that.
like
Yeah.
duration of it. But anyway, back to Stellar Blade.
I just want to say that with Neo, it's like I actually like the game, but it was hard for me to get into because of like the way the combos and stamina work. I feel like you're mixing like two genres that don't necessarily like mix well with like what they wanted to do. That's my opinion, but it's a good game. I still think it's a great game. I'm not gonna bash it. I think
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love that game. So
yeah.
anyway,
But yeah, the platforming is fucking terrible. I don't know if it was addressed in the patch. From what I know from what was explained when they had before the game, like a day before the game came out, when they mentioned about like what to expect with the patch, like the new game plus and all that shit. No, I don't think I saw any mention about like platforming issues or whatever. So, but yeah, yes, this is bad, and there's times where you are platforming and shit. She's like ice skating off the fucking platform, which gets really annoying.
You know what it's because she changes direction. That's the
Yeah,
problem.
too much.
That's the problem. It's like when she lands, there's like this weird delay, and then she changes direction. So because of the delay, when you try to jump, it's like you're trying to like move the character to line up the jump, but the jump is delayed. So it ends up making you feel like you're on ice skates. And on top of that, there are times where you have to swing on ropes and stuff like that, right?
Oh yeah,
And
that's bad too.
And what the problem is that she'll sometimes phase through the ropes entirely, or she'll like change direction. Like you'll jump forward, but her body will start facing a different direction. It's not, again, I wouldn't say it's dog shit, but it's not good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
it's not. Yeah,
it's passable.
I think with another patch you can probably
I think you could you could fix it with a patch. I don't think it's like it's not like
it's not like salvageable, you know.
It's not like broken like a N64 like poor platforming like deal. And plus, like when you fall off cliffs and shit, if you do, the game just respawns you back, and you lose so little health that it's kind of like negligible. But it's not good, and it has to be like, I like that platforming is there, but it has to be fixed and addressed.
Real quick, what's up, Emerald? And I like Soul Calibur as well. Soul Calibur is great. But anyway, let's end my thoughts on it. The story is really good. I like, how everything played out. And voice acting is really good. The character designs are on point. They also have, look pretty memorable too, as well. And I like the challenging combat. I mean, I was like I said, I'm not great with these type of games. Like, I can get by for the most part, but I like the combat. I like that it wasn't trying to be like, what a lot of people would expect it to be. Because you would think like, all right, it's gonna be like Bayonetta or something like that, but it's not. And also, Eve doesn't act like Bayonetta at all. She's very like you had mentioned before, like Makoto or 2B or
she's very elegant.
Yeah, very elegant.
She comes across as a character that's very like dignified. I would almost argue that she's borderline like high strung. You know what I mean? Borderline. Like she's very likable. She's friendly, but like I feel like she's right on that edge where like that if like she went a little further like down that path, she would be like kind of like pompous almost. Not even pompous. What's the word? Like not arrogant. Like I guess high strung is the word. Like she's like borderline high strung, but since her personality is so nice, she just comes across as like dignified and elegant, as opposed to like cocky and like whatever.
Yeah.
If that makes sense to you guys, I don't know.
I like that idea, White Chubaro. That's great. She should definitely be in the next Soul Calibur.
Yeah, she'll fit nicely.
She'll be a great character in there, and she has so many like outfits and shit you can choose from and all that. It's like,
and also the mechanics of Stellar Blade would
because it works in the favor of Soul Calibur. It makes sense.
Yeah, because Soul Calibur has like the perfect parries. They have like the dodge thing where you collide. So like a lot of the mechanics translate very well.
Yeah. So overall, I would say Stellar Blade, in my opinion, it's a great game. It's a great like first outing for them as far as like this type of game. I know some of the developers worked on the Magna Carta series, Magna Carta 1 and 2 before they became shipped up. I'm guessing that studio originally had ended up disbanding after Magna Carta 2. But anyway, it's a really good game. I highly recommend it. Hopefully they address the censorship. I mean, I feel like at some point they should, but I would recommend if you can. I know it may be a bit of a hassle for some people, so I understand. But if you can, you should try to play it uncensored while
it's not hard.
Internet.
It's not hard. It's not hard.
Yeah, it's not.
The reason why it was hard for me is because I was streaming the game, so I had to.
Yeah, that's true. That's
what made it hard. If you're not streaming,
also if you want to play like other games, like
but if you're not streaming the
on
game
your PS5, then obviously you're gonna want to like reconnect to the internet, and then it's gonna start downloading on its own. But if you're gonna stick to just playing that game until you finish it, Just keep
then it
your
doesn't
internet.
matter. Yeah.
Just turn the settings for its offline.
The
Yeah.
reason why I'm gonna explain why, because
So
Revenant
start.
didn't Revenant. Well, I want to explain why, the reason why you have to do that, just for people to understand. Because so if I was streaming it, so I had to do a little bit of gymnastics. If you're not streaming the game and you play it offline, all you have to do is disconnect the internet, which is true. The problem is that you have to cancel the update if you go online. Once you cancel the update, if you boot up the game again, it's gonna ask you, even if you're offline, that to start the game, install the update. So meaning that if you're disconnected from the internet from the jump, you download the game, as long as you're disconnected, it would never ask you for the update. And because it never asks for the update, you'll never deal with the game defaulting to download the update to play. So once you close the application, it's going to ask you again, unless you keep it disconnected from the jump, which means like never even being online for the game to ask you to have to download the update. If that makes sense. So that's the reason why.
Right.
And to answer Neozoic's question, as far
I
as
didn't
like
see all of what do you say? Oh yeah, Neon Genesis. Yeah, I haven't seen much of that, to be honest. I actually need to get that on Blu-ray, by the way.
So I'm gonna tell you guys that the religious aspects don't start making sense until toward the end of the game. They are references early on with the lore, with like some of the data banks, right, with Mother Sphere and stuff. I don't want to get, even though some things are told to you from the jump, it's like pretty straightforward. If you're gonna play the game for yourself, I don't want to like spoil anything. But they hint at certain things. All right, so I'll tell you this much: a lot of people in the world worship Mother Sphere as a god. I'm not going to say what Mother Sphere is. I'm not going to say what I'm not going to say how everything ties together. But that's basically the main religious the allegorical stuff you're going to get early on. Up until like the latter half, like the very I would say like the last third of the game, that's when you start to really see the religious parallels between
it really starts to like become clear.
Click. I mean, on the surface, you have Adam, Eve, Lily, like Mr. Gamer said with Lilith. Lily is very subversive because she's not flirty at all.
No,
she's not flirty at all.
You know who's flirty is fucking Roxanne. That's about it.
Really. And she's kind of like, and it's kind of like, yeah, like she's flirty toward Eve. But the funny thing is that the game is still based, because instead of playing ball, Eve never like gives it energy. She always like dismisses it, because again,
I don't have time for this or whatever.
She says, she blatantly tells her like, I don't come here for your compliments or whatever. Like Eve is not.
Yeah, that's what she said.
Eve is a kind of a paradox, because for a character that is sexual in appearance and like very attractive and physically sexual, her actual personality in the game is actually totally desexualized. Like it's kind of crazy.
Really,
like it's a true yin and yang there, like or whatever, like a true split dynamic where on the surface she's a beautiful woman, she has like a beautiful body, the model's sexy or whatever, but the character herself is not only like not sexualized like that, or she doesn't sexualize herself, but she's also dismissive toward other people being sexual to her. So the two examples that I'll give is Roxanne, where Roxanne constantly tries to flirt with her to no avail. And that's good, because in my opinion, like that's, I don't know if it was intentional or not, but that's a good FU to like the gay mafia and the LGBT agenda, because she kind of dismisses it and tells her like, no, like more or less like fuck off with that. But then there's another character that's a fisherman, and you unlock a specific costume, and she even tells him like, I should cut you in half for playing a joke like that. I mean, she says it playfully, but like even then it shows that she has no interest in those kind of things. Would you agree with that, Revenant?
Yeah, no, yeah.
So she's uninterested in anything like that. Like the sex appeal is solely for the player to be able to look at a pretty woman while playing the game.
She doesn't play up the sex appeal. Like she doesn't like. It's not really part of her personality. So
at all. I would argue that
really. I mean, like
I would argue that it's even like, not only does she not play it up, but like she even like actively like dismisses it. Like it's like she even like distances herself from it. So it's kind of funny, you know. It's like, it's hilarious. It tells you that a lot of the journalists don't even like. It tells you a lot of the criticism actually like looks really bad retrospectively.
Yeah, it really does. So I'm gonna start sending the links out now. All right.
Exactly, Mr. Gamer. Yeah. She's not very sexual. She just is an attractive woman and like with a voluptuous body, and that's at the level of what the player wants to do. Like for me, I like that stuff, so I turned on like the costumes I wanted to. But for a person who's not interested, like you can completely avoid it. Just put a more covered
Yeah.
up costume and whatever. And even her
He
main
has a
costume,
costume with jeans and a jacket on. So
yeah. And even
Yeah.
and even the costumes themselves, like even her default costume, if you really look at it, she's fully covered up.
hmm
So
So I'm gonna send the links out now. That's cool.
yeah, you can send the links out.
All right. In the meantime,
Yeah,
you
Octo
can
Commander, she loves us. She loves the
interact.
player. She loves the player.
So yeah, well, Revenant sends out that link. Any other questions you guys have about? I was gonna say you people, but you know what I mean. Like you have about Stellar Blade or anything like that. I'll be happy to answer, or anything in general. Yeah, I remember that, Mr. Gamer. I would play Metal Gear Solid 1, and Meryl, like she can become like blood red if you just keep staring at her. Um, very fun game. Metal Gear has even Metal Gear Solid 1 has a whole bunch of like hidden stuff in it. So yeah, I mean, you people as in like the people watching. It's just like I could have chose a better terminology. Yeah, it's even harder, MS. But I'm not gonna play New Game Plus. I mean, I want to play New Game Plus, but I don't want to support censorship. Even though I streamed a game uncensored, a part of me just wants to wait and hold out. I want to see if Sony and Shift Up do something about the censorship before I actually play New Game Plus. If they don't, then maybe I'll play it offline just so I can get the other trophies. But I feel like
Real quick, I sent the links out. I'll be right back. So anyone waiting in the backstage thingamajig, I'll let you in once I get back. I won't be long.
um but yeah, like I enjoyed it. I think like it is what it is. It is what it is. Like I just feel like we need games to go back to like how Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 3 were, Stellar Blade, like games that are not afraid to be entertainment. Because all the people that are telling you that are complaining about this stuff, they're hypocrites, and they themselves like this kind of stuff. They just want it to be geared toward what they like, which is why they're okay with something like Baldur's Gate 3 or The Last of Us 2, but they're not okay with Eve and Stellar Blade, who's much more covered up. Like think about The Witcher 3 with the explicit sex scenes, or Baldur's Gate 3, and then compare it to Eve, who there's none of that in the game, and the only thing about it is that she has a voluptuous body. Like, and that's supposedly enough to censor them. But you have Eve taking it, not Eve, sorry, you have Abby taking it in from behind, blatantly on camera. You have blatant sex scenes in The Witcher, Baldur's Gate 3, and yet these same journalists praise that. And I honestly think those games are far worse. Yeah, she loves them. Yep. I'm familiar, man. I'm a big fan of Metal Gear. I know all about it. Yeah, and even in Metal Gear Solid 4, they make a reference to Snake not they mentioned that where Snake can't be with her because of like his own philosophies and stuff, and she accepts that, and with Johnny or whatever. Yeah, that was a very good point you made. Yeah, so as far as New Game Plus, like even on hard, once I started playing it on hard because I considered beating the game from scratch again just so I could get the other ending. And even playing it on hard, it was much harder, but I still think it's manageable. I think it's pretty manageable. I wouldn't say it's easy, but yeah, exactly. MS.
I'm back. I'm back. We got some people. We got Christian Frades and Dan Nerd. So we'll bring them on.
So MS. Yeah, yeah, like I enjoyed it. Like I like that the platforming is there because it does remind me of like older games. So I agree with you. But I'm not gonna play without the patch unless I absolutely have to.
Hey,
And with the patch, sorry. Hey, Christian, how's it going?
I did
What's
play
up,
some
Christian?
Stellar Blade, as you can see on my PS5 videos, and I only got the digital deluxe edition for the extra goods. And the only thing I hated is the censorship.
Yeah, I agree. It's big gay.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
lame.
it's like a it really is.
Be-
It's like a big black eye.
Because Sony, they can't allow attractive women like Eve, but they can allow fourth base with a bear, which is totally off limits.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
right. The
Bestiality
hypocrisy
is
is
okay.
crazy.
It's like the Drake meme. Bestiality, you know, like sexy woman. No, but bestiality, yeah, that's Drake. That's a Drake meme for that. But
So, Mr.
yeah,
Gamer
man.
and Y2 Viral, I sent links out, and
But we're gonna
I
try to
don't know if
control
she's
the panel.
listening, but Melina Chen, I sent the link out to her as well. But yeah, we're gonna rotate things around a bit.
Yeah, because
So
just to
anyone
prevent.
who does
Yeah.
decide to join, I'll let you know once I put you backstage again, and then I'll bring you back on, and that type of thing. So rotate it around so that way internet connection is all good for everyone, and that hopefully it doesn't cause much of a delay as well. So
It also make the conversation go a bit smoother with
yeah. So then
getting
everyone
points or
can get
whatever.
their point across, and no one is unintentionally interrupting or anything like that.
Yeah, because even like when people join, then like there'll be it adds a delay and stuff, so it's just gonna be a bit easier.
Yeah, on Twitter.
I know what the last ending is, MS, and it does explain a bit more. Dan Nerd and Christian, I don't know how far you guys are in the game. I think Dan Nerd, you beat the game, right? So still try not to avoid spoilers if you can.
Yeah, and comes on,
Alright.
make sure you don't get into spoilers. No spoilers whatsoever.
Alright, I try my best. I ain't gonna lie to you. The story was not that memorable, so I really don't remember the story.
It wasn't that memorable.
No, still, I played with my brother. I have seen my brother in like 13 years, so it was like the first time me and my brother got to see each other again. So it was mainly us just playing the game for fun, but we did pay attention to just get into it. It's like some of the story.
But you said it wasn't memorable. So how can if you pay attention to it, it should be memorable, right? Because even like a bad thing, if you pay,
that's what I would think.
Yeah, right? Yeah, especially if you recently beat it.
Yeah, me and my brother.
Hold on, let me check, Mr. Gamer.
We did play it and we did beat it, but like over time, we just didn't pay attention to the story as much because like the story, like halfway through, we just didn't really care that much because the story for us was just like the story was what a video game story.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Gamer. I didn't click
context
send.
of what you
Sorry.
fight.
You should get it now.
You fight and everything.
I disagree. I think the story is much deeper than you're giving it credit for, especially if you pay attention to what's actually happening. Because a lot of the themes in the game, without giving much spoiler, they're very similar to Ghost in the Shell, Nier Automata, with some things, with some key plot points. So
I think
I doubt it. I disagree with it being surface level. I think like if you like pay attention to the game, it's not surface level at all.
It's kind of hard to.
For me personally, I'm very critical of these kind of stories as well. And I've been like myself being a storyteller with what I do. And I've been enjoying this shit for a long time, for like most of my life. So I've seen a lot of like sci-fi, a lot of anime. And I think that this game is right up there with them. I feel like, and I'm not going to say this directly about you, but I think there's a heavy bias because of the backlash, whether it be pro Stellar Blade or against Stellar Blade. And I think that people are giving the game much more scrutiny. They're looking at it under a much more critical eye, cynical eye than it deserves. I think it's a bit unfair.
I'm gonna let you back on real soon, just in a few minutes or so, because I don't want to exceed the limit and cause any like internet issues. So I'm gonna let you back on in a few. Who else is it?
Mr. Gamer, what's up, my man?
Hey there,
okay. Melina Chan, I'm gonna bring you on soon as well. I just have to. We're gonna rotate things around, so make sure everyone, the internet connection, all that's good. And so, Y2 Viral, have you played Stellar Blade yet?
I only play a little bit of it on my oldest brother's PS5. I have my own right now, but as soon as I get that, I'm gonna make sure to get the physical copy of it.
Yeah, for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
Make sure
Yeah.
you stock up on those physical copies.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Well,
because
they're gonna be valuable. They're gonna be really
Yeah.
valuable. Not a lot of games can be played. I'm not even talking about censorship. Not a lot of games are like fully on a disc anymore. A lot of them are very reliant on patches. The fact that you can fully play Stellar Blade, albeit a little harder because there is like some latency stuff, but it's not. To me, it's not nothing worse than anything on 360 or whatever. So, the fact that you have a complete full game that you can play on PS5 of all things without updates is pretty crazy. That game's gonna be worth a lot down the line. So if you have a copy, I might get another copy just so I can have it to sell, like a sealed copy. You know what I mean? I might do that myself. So, but you have to
most definitely.
copies each, so.
But you have to ask. You have to make sure that we have to wait and see, because it's possible that if they don't, if they double down on the censorship, it's possible that future iterations of the disc will be the censored version on the base disc. So.
Well, you can guarantee that, actually.
Yeah, so it's very likely unless they go back on it. So the early copies of the game that are currently out might be the only versions of the disc that have the uncensored content. It's worth mentioning that. So if I were anybody trying to get a copy for like as a future investment, I would get it now. You know, like do it now.
Yeah.
So
just in case. Yeah. But I want to ask Dan Nerd something, because I saw your video today. I noticed you deleted
I
it
also
as well
saw it.
for some reason.
Oh, I kind of had to. There was like a big mess up in the editing, so I had to re-edit it, then re-upload it. So it should be up now. But
Okay, all right. So would you want to elaborate more on some of the things you said in that video, just to give context to anyone? Obviously without spoilers. I mean, your video really didn't touch on spoilers from what I remember. Based on from what I remember in your video, you said something like a previous post in the past. Like, let's talk about this. Let's start with the censorship.
All right.
How do you feel about the censorship?
I think a lot of the hoopla on Twitter is very much over exaggeration. I think it's bad, but at the same time, like, this is still a big win for gamers. I don't really think like all this hoopla and refunding. My biggest problem is not the fact that people are upset, because I stand by the message or how people react. Is when people are trying to say we stand by Stellar Blade, free Stellar Blade, but your guys are buying the game, live streaming the game. You're still promoting the game. So
okay, hold on. Wait, hold on.
Well,
hold on. Wait, hold on. Let me break this down. The censorship, people found out roughly a day before the game came out, and there was some speculation that some of what was being shown as far as the censorship was not true. So when people found out on the day of the game coming out, when they found out themselves, that's when it was all but confirmed without a shadow of a doubt that it was indeed censored. But on top of that, people who are playing the game, a lot of them are also playing it uncensored without the patch, because they want to support the game and the true vision, not the censorship, because a lot of people know Sony has a history of censoring games, while also, for whatever reason, we all know why.
Hypocrites.
They're hypocrites, because bare sex and all sort of goofy, degenerate shit in Baldur's Gate 3 is perfectly fine. Last of Us 2, Abby can get her back blown out and shit. And
you basically watch a trans man get duped on camera.
Yeah,
and that's okay to Sony.
Cyberpunk 2077, you can go in nightclubs and shit, and all sort of sexual shit going on with the romance and whatnot. Even GTA 5, you can go in fucking strip clubs and grab it onto a woman's bare tits
and see blatant titties uncovered in that game.
Titties. Also, The Witcher 3.
The list goes on and on, bro.
Fucking the Ghost of Tsushima with Jin Sakai's
ass, yeah.
Yeah, and when he goes into the hot spring and all that. So all that's perfectly fine, but keep in mind, we don't see Eve naked at all within the game. And there's no sexual scenes, there's no romance scenes or anything like that.
And she never plays up her sexuality.
She's not even doing anything sexual that that Bayonetta would do.
Yeah.
So when you think about it, it's pretty tame. This is no Dead or Alive levels of explicit content, or even Rumble Roses for that.
And also, it's the blatantly incorrect.
And if you look at the costumes, you look at the costumes, you can clearly tell it was like a last minute change because it doesn't
looks
even
so
look right
fucking
at
cheap.
all.
It
Like
looks
the
so
holiday
cheap.
bunny outfit, rabbit.
It looks like she's wearing additional
there's
clothes
other
under the
examples of
holiday
that.
rabbit shit. Like it looks like it looks like you're wearing like a pair of briefs, like like tidy whities over boxers. That's what it looks like.
Over
Like
It's
it's
not the
it's
only
awful.
one.
or something. Like fucking didn't Doug do that as well? The show Doug, he put this
Yeah,
underwear over his
she
shirt.
turned into Quail.
yeah.
She became
That's
Quail
basically
Man.
what that is.
It's-
Yeah, that's
But
what it was. Yeah,
Quail Man. But here's
That's what
the
it was.
thing though
And it's like-
too. There's a disingenuous argument, and I'm tired of fucking hearing it because honestly, it's stupid. People are saying, "Oh, you guys just want to see 2 more inches of titties or whatever." It's not the point about the fucking cleavage. The point of not of people being upset is because they censored the game last fucking second, and they did it while simultaneously being fucking hypocrites. So how does it make sense to belittle the argument to, oh, a bunch of perverts just want to see titties and ass? No, people don't want to see fucking censored shit, especially when Shift Up clearly intended the game to have that on release, because why would they go out of their way to design the character? But deeper than that, why would they design these characters like this only to release it and censor it last second? You really think Shift Up wanted to do that?
And people will say, "Oh, well, he came out and said that was the intended design." I call bullshit on that because that sounds like he's just being the fall guy for Sony.
He has to save face. He has to save face because he's probably he's legally binded. He's legally binded contractually, where he probably can't disparage Sony. So he probably can't even say
like an NDA, right?
Yeah, like an NDA or something.
Yeah.
Because again, there's no way in hell you go out of your way, spend all that time paying developers, programmers, and artists to put that shit in the game just to change it last second in a sloppy ass hack job way that is terrible. Like it's indefensible. So how can I hate that fucking argument because it's retarded? Where they say it's retarded when they say, "Oh, people are just mad because they want to see more titties and ass." No, people don't like fucking censorship, and I think that it's important and totally acceptable for people to call it out. People have to call it out. That's why shit is the way it is now, because they put all this shit in these games, all this censorship, all this woke shit in these games, and people didn't speak out. And now look where we're at now. We're fighting to have fucking what would be considered normal in the 360 game. We have to fight for it. Meanwhile, they got fucking Abby getting fucked in the butt. You got bears having sex with freaking humans, and that's okay. So it's been one-sided, and to tell people to shut up and just play the game is retarded. I'm sorry, that's retarded.
Yeah.
Censorship is not okay.
And it's not good. It's not much of a win for gamers when we're still fighting censorship. When we got a petition out, rightfully so, because of the double standard that's been going on.
That's not gonna do nothing.
What was that?
It's not gonna do anything. You know that, right? That petition is not gonna do anything.
Well, it doesn't matter. It's the principle of the matter. People are speaking up and saying when
people should still speak up. People should still speak up.
Yeah,
yes.
You got over 70,000 people signed a petition for a reason.
Only care about money.
You do realize that
hoop line, doing petitions, doing all this stuff, when you should go after money. If you really cared that much, you wouldn't be live streaming the game. You wouldn't even be buying the game. The only reason why I bought the game because I knew for a fact boomers would.
Well, you bought the game too, right? So either you care, but so you don't care about the censorship.
Censorship is not that bad. I'm on an argument.
So you basically you're okay with censorship then? You're okay with it?
Okay, now that's an argument that the wokies use. You want to?
Are you okay with censorship? But are you okay with censorship? But you don't care. You're saying that people should shut up and accept it, so you're okay with it.
No, I'm not.
You're okay
you
with
said
it.
You said Stellar Blade censored is peak gaming.
You said
in your own video. That's what you said.
That's a gotcha title.
Hold on, wait.
But you still said it. Why would you put some gotcha title like that if you don't mean it?
You use titles to get people. That was a gotcha title.
So you put a disingenuous lie of a title to get viewers.
Look at Different Gaming. Gotcha title. Look at Synthetic Man. Gotcha title. Gotcha. You fair about it? Gotcha.
It's a gotcha title. It's not a gotcha title if you agree with the statement in the title. If you agree with the statement in the title, it's not a gotcha title.
Hold on,
wait. Hold on. Mr. Gamer has something to say.
And Rev, Grums had done a petition in the past. He actually posted about it. It's worked. Over 100,000 signatures. Look into.
He did. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't know on what game it was. I think it was a big game, by the way. It made a big difference. I think it was Blizzard. I think that it was that. So yeah, it made a difference.
Oh,
no
okay.
one can say something as
So there you
bullshit
go.
as yeah. See, no one can say something as bullshit as a petition will not have an impact. It
When
does.
does that work?
When
Has that ever worked for Sony? No, it doesn't.
yeah, the PSN cancellation, the loss of money, it will have an impact, brother. It will have an impact.
100%.
I looked at Sony stocks. Their stocks are fine.
100%. Yeah.
See, don't forget your words, Dan. Don't you forget, and you will
Oh,
eat
I'm not,
it.
because if I'm wrong, I'm man enough to admit that.
Well, look at
Oh,
Tomb
you
Raider.
know.
Look at Tomb Raider. People complained about the censorship, and guess what? They went back and changed it.
Mhm.
So Tomb Raider was
trying to
changed, right?
load
People
this now, so
voiced their
yeah.
opinion. They changed it, right? They
Interesting.
fixed it.
Can I speak now? All right. Okay. No.
It might play
am
on
not
its own.
pro
I don't know.
censorship.
So just so you guys know.
What was that? I didn't hear.
He's gonna play a video.
Oh, okay.
Yo, Guardian, what's up, bro?
You guys able to hear that?
I can't hear it. It sounds very muffled.
You can't.
It
But you
sounds
can hear something,
muffled.
right?
Yeah, it sounds very muffled.
I hear something, but it's
Let me play it again.
indistinct. Yeah, it's very muffled, bro.
God damn it. So it's muffled.
It's very muffled. I can't make out anything that's being said or whatever sounds are being made. It's just a muffled noise.
If you have a mic and you can place it close to your PC or laptop, and you can increase the volume.
Yeah, it might be more audible.
You know what? Yeah, let me try to do that. Let me pull up on my phone real quick.
Oh, nice, man. That sounds good, bro. Family time's important.
And to add to your point, Jen, it's like you said, even if it's not going to have an impact, which it will, I guarantee you it will. The fact that it's better that than doing nothing, because the fact that we have Sony cocksuckers is one of the reasons why gaming sucks as much as it does now. It doesn't matter if it's Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, or whatever.
Yep. Agreed. It's because it's just so many bootlickers out there that it's like basically you're going against a massive stupidity, a wave of stupidity.
Exactly, yeah. And here's the thing. I can like a few games by Capcom, but I am not stupid enough to not get that Capcom are wokeifying their games, even some of the ones I do like. I'm not that ignorant.
It's slowly infecting every company.
Mm-hmm.
So it is. I mean, look. People pre-ordered a game, people bought it, people opened up their physical copies, put the disc in, obviously it devalues it once you open the copy, thinking that the game was uncensored. When they put it in, found out that it was uncensored, the game has already been devalued. For me personally, I would have not, if I found out beforehand, like if I knew like weeks before, or like I didn't pre-order it, or I knew right away it was censored, I would have never personally have pre-ordered or bought the game. So it comes down to also the fact that it was censored last second, and a lot of people found out post playing the game. So it's not even a thing of speaking with your wallet at that point, because it was a total bait and switch to the last second. And remember, not everybody who bought that game is on X and Twitter all the time to see all these little details that come out about it. So to say that is incredibly disingenuous. Like, oh, just speak with your wallet. You should speak with your wallet. But if you already bought the game, didn't know it was censored, and find out it's censored post-release, then that argument gets thrown out the fucking window.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And Jen, I compared like Kim to Cuckman for a reason. This is the same shit they pulled with the Last of Us so-called sequel. They lied. They lied with the marketing and everything. And then when people bought the game, including my buddy Candace, she found out, oh, Joel's dead, and it's like, what the fuck?
Especially the way they killed him too. I mean, Joel dying is not the problem. The way he died was very like, it's the way he died. He died like basically they took a strong paternal character and made him die like a bitch. He should have, if you're gonna kill the character, he should die heroic or doing something that's meaningful.
Oh yeah, and they changed the fucking
Right,
doctor. He went from being like, yeah.
Oh no, I was gonna say I got it on my phone now, so I'm gonna play real quick because it's like only a few seconds. So you guys should be able to hear it clearly now.
Sure.
People crying on Twitter.
Oh,
Were you able to hear it?
You playing one of my videos?
Yeah, I can't hear it. I can make out some of it, but I can't hear it clearly. Can you play like the full thing louder, or somehow bring it like right on the mic?
All right, let me try it again. Is that better now?
It sounded more clear. I can make out who it was now.
I think Mr. is muted.
All right, if that's what these Sony cocksuckers are like, and yeah, it's pretty accurate.
I want to call myself a Sony cocksucker because I criticize Sony more often than not. No, that was memeing on this side of Twitter and this side of the YouTube space.
Oh, so you were okay.
See,
I don't care.
No.
Okay, so just because I'm on this side of YouTube, I have to agree with absolutely everything that happens on this side.
No, you don't have to agree, but you're also going to be called out for it. And exactly, and the people that aren't going to agree with you are going to call it out too. So you don't have to agree with it. You don't have to agree with it, but also you're going to also get pushed back as well. So if you're going to make a point, you should defend your point, or at least try to defend it properly.
And it was in this game. The censorship is bad. I don't stand with censorship. But trying to say the game is unplayable, dude, or this game is super bad because a few outfits got covered up slightly.
Nobody said that. Nobody said that though.
That's how you guys are acting.
There's no
from the outside looking in and see how does everybody else see us right now? We look like fucking virgin losers who's playing for some outfits.
No, we don't.
That's your opinion.
No, we
that's
don't.
your incorrect opinion.
That's how you look at it.
That's how you look at it. That's not how people. That's not how most people view it.
How are people virgin losers for wanting something?
And honestly, anyone who
true to what was being advertised.
Anyone who thinks like that,
being a loser or a virgin.
Anyone who thinks like that, I don't give a fuck what they think anyway, because anybody saying that is a disingenuous actor anyway. That whole shit about defending censorship, because you're still defending censorship. To say, I don't want to look bad. Well, it's still censorship. Well, and you're wrong. It is that bad because they did censor it, and it's a fucking bait and switch. So it's a lie, and it should be called out for it. You being worried about what other people think. You worried about what these outside people who don't actually play these games think. Let me finish. I was talking. Let me finish. I was talking. Then I'll let you finish. I was saying that thinking about what other people say that aren't even fucking real gamers, right? Those people say, they look like virgin rabbit. Those people aren't gonna fuck you. They're not gonna give you ass anyway. So who cares? At the end of the day, it's about. I don't care about that. Let me finish and then you can talk. When it comes down to it, people need to call out censorship. It's important that they call out censorship. It's not about titties and ass. It's that they censored the fucking game last second. If it was violence and gore censored last second because of Sony's politics, the reaction would be the same. Belittling this argument to titties and ass and 2 inches of fabric is disingenuous. It's a disingenuous argument. I don't understand how this is a hard concept to grasp. I really don't.
Everybody on Twitter is acting.
That's not how everybody on Twitter is acting. That's your perspective. That's your perspective on it.
Those are the ones who I'm making fun of. not y'all.
All right,
If
you're
get
the minority.
that means you are
And you're the minority, and you're the minority of it.
If you get offended by that, that's on you, not me.
That's on you. I saw those posts, bro. I saw that wall of different posts that you made, and guess what? I saw zero likes on most of them. You know why? Because people don't fucking agree with it.
Oh God. Okay, let's see.
People don't agree, but you're saying that's how it looks. That's you're saying that's how it looks, but people aren't agreeing with you.
Really?
But people aren't agreeing with you. It's not about followers. I don't have a lot of followers on there either.
6 views on shit, and you expect like 6 people to like something. No, come on now.
I don't have a lot of followers on there either. But obviously, even the people that follow you don't agree with you. Even the people that follow you aren't agreeing with it. It can't get you. One person can't agree with it if it's fact. I mean, I don't have a big following, but if I post something, it gets likes on it.
When did I ever say it's fact? Now you put stuff in my mouth, man.
That's your opinion. You're presenting it as fact. But you're presenting it as fact.
It's not facts. Not facts. Opinions are opinions, not facts.
Exactly. It's not fact. And again, you're in the minority because what you're saying is the general consensus is wrong. The general consensus is wrong. The general consensus. All right. So it's not fact, but the point is that people are not agreeing with you because they don't agree with you because what you're saying is fucking stupid. What you're saying is dumb. You're defending censorship, so people don't agree with you.
You're telling me everything you post on Twitter, you want people to
No, it doesn't matter. No, because what I'm saying is one person does, not even a single person agrees with you. One person can't agree with you with your take on this. That's my point. The general look. Listen. Let me be specific. Let me be specific. In a way, it's all opinion, right? But there are going to be general consensuses of what's a good take and a bad take. Just like you think something's a bad take, you're going to have your opinion. Other people are going to think things are bad takes, good takes, or whatever. The general consensus is that the censorship is bad and that it's not good. And that it's fucking egregious. And okay, and you have to understand. You have to understand.
Okay, so your argument is I have to take my view and join the mindless drones, so I can't have my own view.
That's not my argument.
That's your argument.
No, that's not my argument. That's not my argument. That's not my argument.
This is bad, so you have to think it's bad. Or because
no, you can think whatever the fuck you want. You know, you can think whatever the fuck you want.
Who thinks the censorship is a non-issue as well? So wouldn't that be mindless drones, or the people who are downplaying the censorship? Because you know, there's plenty of people, like just as many people who are trying to make this not seem like a big deal, just as much as people who are saying that it is in fact a big deal.
This is crazy. When you have Synthetic Man having a more sensible take on this is crazy. Synthetic Man is the greatest person that ever make fun of. He has a more adult take on the censorship problem than both of you do.
Dan, I have a question for you.
What did he say?
Go ahead, Mr. Gamer. I'm sorry for cutting you off. Go ahead.
Do you care about how others feel about you or those who call out the woke shit? Do you care that much about how
I care about what I say.
You?
I care about what I say. Let me finish, please. I never made an argument of what other people have to feel. That's Jim Posh. That's his argument.
You made that argument when you made those videos. When you made that little video throwing that tantrum on camera and trying to say, "Oh, censorship this, censorship that." That video, when you did that, you were basically going against those other people's opinions as well. So obviously you have a problem with it as well. So you're being called out the same way. So what's the problem? You're being called out the exact same way.
And
all right. What is this?
Revenant offered to bring me here to defend my arguments.
So defend your arguments. That's it. Yeah, so that's what we're doing right now. So that's what's happening right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Listen. None of us could tell people. None of us could tell people what to think or say. No one can control what someone else thinks. When did I ever never said you did. I never said you did. Pay attention to what I'm saying. Pay attention to what I'm saying. I'm saying that nobody here can control what other people say. I'm not saying you're trying to do that. What I'm saying is that your only thing you can do is have discourse publicly, talk about it, give your side, I give my side, Gamer gives his, Revenant gives his, and then it gets put out there. And people make their own decision as they watch and make their own opinions as they watch of what they agree with or what they don't agree with. That's the point I'm trying to make. So I never said that it's a fact. I'm saying that ultimately when you put an opinion out there, people are going to agree or disagree. If it could be in the minority or the majority take.
So I'm only here.
Is that clear?
Agree with my video? Because if that's
no, you can get that's no. because your opinion is different than ours. That's one reason why. And also for you to defend your stance on that. That's the point of it. Because clearly, I know you like the game, but you obviously have your gripes with it, and also have your gripes with the people who are against the censorship. I know you're not saying that you're the outright saying that the censorship is not there, but you're also downplaying it to an extent, and that's where we differ on those opinions. You understand what I'm saying?
That's because
it's not an attack on you or how you feel. Yes, it's your opinion. You're entitled to your opinion. Yeah, you can. Yeah,
that's because I'm realistic of how I view things. I knew for a moment Sony was going to do something with this game because it's Sony. I knew for a fact they were going to do that. I just didn't really care because at the end of the day, the spirit, and this should be a big talking point. The spirit of the outfits are still there. The spirits of the outfits are still there. And this version, let me finish. And these versions of the outfits, regardless of how bad that they tried to cover it up, because you can definitely tell the bunny outfit was definitely last minute because you can clearly see that. But the spirits of the outfits are still there. All they did was slightly cover up the vagina and titties. So when I was playing the game with my brother, we'd had a good time. Because the game is overall should be talked about for its funness. I understand that people are upset about the censorship. I don't honestly, I never cared about the game, so I don't really care that much about the censorship, right? I'll be the first one to tell you that. Never really cared. But at the end of the day, yes, at the end of the day, I don't agree with censorship, but I'm not going to sit here and be like the game is terrible or it's super bad or be a half-ass boycotter of the game.
Who said that?
But people are not making that argument. That's not the general argument that's being made. Look, I'm gonna be real. I like the game. And were you here? Did you see? Listen. Did you see earlier when you came in? Were you watching the stream up until that point, or did you just come in? Okay, earlier I criticized the game for the platforming being broken, because the platforming does need work, right? The platforming has issues.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Right. So I don't think everything in the game is perfect. No one's making the argument that the game is unplayable because they covered 2 inches of titty. The argument is that they censored the game last second and lied. That is the crux of the argument. You might not care about this. Listen. Let me finish. I'll let you talk. You might not care about the censorship, but a lot of people do. So you're trying to clown people for calling out the censorship, which is why the discourse is happening now to begin with. That's why we're talking about it, because it's in my opinion, and many other opinions, is disingenuous how people try to belittle the argument to titties and ass. You might not care, but it starts with this, and it could be other things as well, which it has been in the past. It's been content, it's been localizers altering dialogue. This is not like a thing that Stellar Blade is like the hill that people are dying on. It's just a layer on top of a mountain of shit that's been going on for years.
Exactly. And
I'm sure you understand that. You've been following this stuff. I'm sure you're aware of it.
Yeah, and you know, Dan, you never answered my question. I wasn't talking about people like what do they think of your opinion. I'm talking about as a group, like the anti-woke crowd, those who call out, all this shit. You have an issue with how we as the anti-woke whatever are being perceived. That is the issue you have, and you cannot say that you didn't or you don't have that issue because you said so yourself. Watch the stream at the start.
My apologies for not answering your question. I apologize for that. So let me answer your question. The reason why is because I feel, this is my personal opinion on this. If you actually sit back and look from the outside looking in, you can see a lot of problems, and that's what I do for a lot of problems in my life. That's why I'm able to fix a lot of my problems from the outside looking in. From the outside looking in, the anti-woke crowd has not made no grounds. We haven't. The anti-woke crowd hasn't really done anything. And that's from the 3 major factions, if I will. This is a bigger argument. I think this is supposed to be like a bigger argument later, but if you want to continue with the Stellar Blade, we can continue with the Stellar Blade argument because this is a much bigger argument than I have. So
can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
All right. So you don't think what happened in Saints Row Reboot has nothing to do with the anti-woke crowd? All right, but do you know of the discourse?
But you know
what happened?
You didn't play it either.
No, I didn't really care about it. So
all right. So Saints Row Reboot, when that game killed the company because the wokeness was so bad in it that people collectively disregarded the game. It made very little profit, and the company died. Or Forspoken.
The problem see, like, here's the thing that people misinterpret. They say it makes little ground because they see a game like Spider-Man 2, for example, and they're like, oh, that game was successful somewhat, right? But you got to keep in mind that the brand of Spider-Man sells that game, right? A game like Stellar Blade, where Stellar Blade doesn't have much to build off of other than, it's their first game. It's a new IP, not their first game, but their first like mainline story-based,
it's a first
real
AAA game.
Yeah, they're like a first like real game that they made.
Yeah.
They don't have that. So the game sold well because the anti-woke people, right? That side of things, they supported the game. Then they were lied to last second
because of ass and titties.
No, all right, but the reason, but it's because, all right. So if this game was made by woke people, would it have ass and titties like that? No, right? So let me finish.
Yes.
So let me finish. So exactly, it's not as woke. So people supported the game. If the game had a bunch of woke shit in it, if the ass and titties weren't in the game, which would inherently be woke by today's standards because the way these games are, then people wouldn't have bought and supported it. So people bought it. So people bought it, and then last second they censored the game. So it's logical that people would be upset about it and behave this way and do these hashtags and do whatever. People are well within their right, and it's incredibly sound to go against this stuff. It's not a fucking an argument about virgins or whatever bullshit. It's like you said, you talk about people agreeing with you or disagreeing with you. I don't give a fuck what those people think because those people aren't playing the games.
Dude,
so I'm even giving credit to your point where you said that, remember how we were talking about likes and shit, how it's your opinion versus other people's, right? I would argue that's fair, right? We both agree that's fair, right? That we're just putting out our shit and people can agree or disagree. If you're going to make a game and you're going to do this and you're going to market it and the people support you like this and you're promising something and you don't deliver and it's last minute censorship, people are going to be upset about it. It's normal. That is a human thing. That's like as logical as it gets. To me, and this is my opinion, it makes you a bootlicker. I'm not saying you are, by the way. I'm not saying you are, Dan, but it's a bootlicker opinion to say, well, it's not that bad that they censored the game. So, fuck it. It doesn't matter. That's dismissive, and that's why this stuff continues to happen. It's the same thing that happened with wokeness. It's like it's just Mary Jane being a little feminist. It's just a little wokeness, and then all of a sudden you have her talking about the new normal on camera. It's all connected. People have to go against this shit. They have to. Yeah. You can't look again. You can do whatever you want, but if you're gonna bash these people, at least make it make sense. At least have a sense of what the bigger picture is. It's not about titties and ass. It's not about that.
I feel like the word censored, like every word nowadays, again, thrown around. The outfits are still in the game. They just got toned down. And that's the biggest word. Let me finish. That's the biggest word of the day. The game is not the sex appeal, all that is still in the game. It's just toned down. You guys are saying the game is censored. It's just toned down. Like everything.
The violence, the fucking, oh my god.
How is the violence? Okay, how is the violence toned down when you're still?
Look, dude. The blood being splattered on fucking Eve when she cuts a demon or whatever those things are.
They actually toned a lot of stuff. They actually toned it down from the
Spider-Man turned down the fucking
dude. No matter how small, censorship is censorship. Don't ignore that.
Exactly.
So in Mortal Kombat, they took away the blood during the fights, but you can still do fatalities. Would you call that censorship?
Yeah. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Censorship is censorship regardless. And it's fucked up and it's wrong.
So you telling me because they decided to tone down the blood that gets on Stellar Blade's character model, that's somehow censorship.
It is.
That means everything's censorship.
By definition, yeah.
Let me give.
She still gets bloody. You can still look at it. Blood still trickles on her.
The blood is still there, but it's still toned down, though.
Let me make it clear. There's a clear distinction, though. Let me give you the clear distinction. All right. So when they showed Stellar Blade firsthand, right? When they first showed the game, they showed the blood was there. They showed the gore would cover her. It was actually more blood on walls as well. If you didn't know about that, the blood was splattered more on the walls in the game. Pre censorship. Yeah. So what happened is they showed a version of the game, right, to sell the game that had this stuff in it. Then they censored it last second. Now, if the game if they never showed that footage and they made the changes behind closed doors, then people wouldn't be calling out the censorship for what it is. But because people had seen and played the demo and seen what the game was before,
compared to now, that's the clear distinction. It's like they showed something was there. It was an indicator of what the game would be like. People bought the game, and then it was patched out last second. Now, in the case of the blood, I will say that the blood and censorship is also nerfed on the disc as well. So it's likely that they censored the blood pre the game going gold. Does that make sense to everyone? Dan, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So pre being put on disc, they did some censorship as well. There's actually some costumes that are censored even in the disc version. I have proof for it. Here's an example, like you know what the peony dress is, right? Did you unlock that costume, Dan?
I no.
You know the Chinese dress with the black stockings.
Oh, that one. Okay.
Okay. If you look at inside the game, when you play the uncensored version of the game, there's a video footage, like a little video on screen where they teach you about costumes, right? About the nanosuits. It shows the costumes in the game. It shows that version of the suit without the leggings on. So it's clear that even in the uncensored version of the game, that they did some changes behind closed doors, right? So. But my point is that so even the disc version of the game has a bit of censorship in it. But at the end of the day, if they showed something to people and they thought that was what it was going to be, it was in the demo, it was playable, and then the game was good to go, and then last second they patch it out of the game, then that's censorship. That's different than making changes behind closed doors that people didn't know about. Because, like as you said, obviously it's common sense that a lot of changes are made over the course of development, right?
Okay, so this. I just want to talk about the blood thing. The blood thing is not censorship, because if that's censorship, but this is purely talking about blood. That means in Assassin's Creed 1, when they showed off the crossbow being used, so Ubisoft also get sued because they falsely advertised something.
But that wasn't a playable demo.
It doesn't matter.
It does matter.
Your argument is they showed something. Keyword show.
Yeah.
They showed something. So that means every company that shows something that gets taken out should get sued.
Well, there's a difference. There's a difference between a crossbow being cut content from the game and having a playable demo and playing a demo where you're playing not far before release. There was a playable demo where she was covered in blood. The trailers for the game had her covered in blood. So it's not like this was like a CGI trailer, like an early concept trailer. This was like demos and a fucking trailer right before release. So it's still censorship. It's not. They're not the same. These are not the same arguments.
You realize in game development they make two. The demo is absolutely the pinnacle of what the game's vision is. As in, it's the vertical slice. So they show off things that might not even be in the full release. Like I don't think
we should have got that game.
Yeah, we should have.
I don't just trying to say the blood is censorship. No, it's not. It's just toned down. Games get
censored. Toned down is censorship. Toned down is censorship, bro. It's censorship. It's censorship. If you're toning it down all right. So my question is, Dan, why did they tone down the costumes? What would be the reason? What is the reason they toned it down?
Well, one logical reason could be they made one version for the game. Different countries have different rules where you can and cannot show when it comes down to females in particular. We all know male and female have different rules in different parts of the world. So they made one version that could easily explain some of the costumes being slightly changed. Some ratings board could have been like, hey, we don't like this outfit. You got to do this. Oh, you got to do this. And so they made one version of the game that is, in their eyes, are uncensored. That's the version that everybody got. It's literally the same version everybody got.
So
what are these rules?
So you don't consider that censorship? So all right, let me rephrase it. Let me change the game to a different game. Everybody here played Resident Evil 2 Remake, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, Japan. Did you play Resident Evil 2 Remake?
Yes.
All right. You remember the part with the liquor where you see the guy's face sliced open?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's censored in Japan. I mean, that part it's toned down in Japan because of their regulations to violence. So, is that not censorship in Japan?
It's part of the government. It's part of the government.
But the government is censoring it.
They don't have freedom. They don't have freedom of speech that we do here. So
their freedom is censored.
It's still censored.
Yeah.
Freedom of speech.
Yeah.
How the hell is there?
I don't know if there's freedom of speech in Japan or not, but like different ratings boards have different things. That at the end of the day, if that's censorship. I guess that's censorship. But at the end of the day, different countries have different rules. You have to respect different countries' different rules.
But
Like-
I don't understand how that's not censorship. If the WWE, look, are you a
it's the
WWE
law.
fan?
It's the
Are you a
law.
W?
It's the
Are you?
law.
But it's censorship by the government. The government is censoring the people. The government is censoring the people. Look. You know WWE, right? Do you like WWE?
I'm getting back into it. Yes.
All right, you know in Saudi Arabia, all the women wear full bodysuits, right? Like similar to like Stellar Blade and shit. The reason why is because obviously we all know Saudi Arabia, their laws prohibit women from showing their bodies like that.
That's the law.
So even though they're making that concession for Saudi Arabia, that's them basically censoring their content for their viewers and audiences because they're censoring what they normally would wear. They're forcing them to cover up to abide by their laws, by their government. So yeah, it might be legal in those countries, but it's still censorship because it's not the creative vision. It has to be cut and nerfed to fit whatever that government's agenda or whatever their legal practices are. But it doesn't change that it's censorship.
So
and
these
see,
companies to break laws and shit. Like I'm not entirely.
I don't, bro. Come on, that's disingenuous. Come on, that's a disingenuous argument, man. Come on, man.
Like they have to abide by law.
You know what they could say? You don't want it, then you don't get our game.
Yeah,
it is censorship. It's still censorship.
If you don't like it, you don't get our game. Or with WE's case, you don't like it, you ain't gonna get this show or see our wrestlers on there.
Mm-hmm.
But they agreed to do it. But regardless whether who agrees to what, it's still censorship.
Yeah,
it doesn't even matter if it's a law or not. The law is still censorship.
If everyone, like, let's say hypothetically, everyone collectively agreed that it didn't matter that let's say like everyone's like, oh, it doesn't matter. It's just 2 inches of fabric. Nobody cares, right? Let's say everyone collectively said that the game came out fine. It doesn't change the fact that it's still censorship. It's not a thing of if you have a problem with it or not. It's still censorship. You get what I'm saying? By definition, it's censorship. So just because people might be okay with it or they might abide by it doesn't mean that it's not censorship.
Let me rotate the panel real quick because Melina Chan and others have been waiting for a little while. And then I'll bring Dan Nerd and Mr. Gamer back in a few minutes. That's cool?
No problem.
All right, cool. So you guys will just be in the backstage area for a little bit, okay?
Wait, what happened? Who's going to be in the backstage?
Mr. Gamer and Dan Nerd, because I want to bring in the other people that have been waiting, like Melina Chan and them. They've been waiting for a while, so.
Yeah, I agree. It's an excuse. MS, the censorship's an excuse.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
Welcome back, Y2, and welcome back, Christian Frades, and thank you for joining Melina Chan.
Hey, thank you. Woo, that was
waiting for a while. Sorry.
Oh no, it's okay. I'm kind of glad I wasn't because I probably would have cut in because that was intense.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
doing my hair, guy, so I couldn't type. Huh?
I'm an intense guy, Melina. I'm an intense guy.
Yes, I see. You were really putting on the pressure. But I agree with you, though. I mean, and to quote and give credit to Black. What's his name? Shinobi.
Shinobi.
Black Shinobi. Okay, to
Black
quote
Shinobi?
or not quote, but give credit. I think that's his name. Where is he? Oh, don't tell me he's gone. Oh yeah, Black Shinobi. Yeah, he's right here. I saw his comment, and it was something I basically was just saying like the whole time. I mean, like censorship. Without you can't be censorship. You can't be creative. So I really liked his comment. Because that's basically what it is, and I'm sorry to what Dan said, but I mean, okay, if you made a title to draw people in, but yet you still agree with your point, then that's not really clickbait, is it? And regardless if their skin still showing, that's not the full product that I paid for, and they switched it up last minute just because I'm over here in the West doesn't mean that and all of a sudden rules want to be changed, even though since the early 2000s we didn't have this problem. It'd be different if the roles were reversed and we were video games were censored throughout generations, but it hasn't. At one point, it was heavily uncensored. Big breasts, jiggle physics, skimpy outfits. So now all of a sudden, and today, it has turned around because certain people have infiltrated this space. So, and it's basically like why fix what wasn't broken? And I don't agree with that. Just to shut up and be grateful for what we got because some skin was still showing. I mean, but that's not the full product. That's not what we all pay for when we get these games. And exactly. I just feel like we're being scammed. And then what was it? Yeah. Another thing he said about what he said something about dang it, I had it and I lost it. But yeah, just to switch it up at the last minute and just to shut up and be grateful for what we got. Why do that? I mean,
to me that's a weak mentality, honestly.
It is. It's a weak mentality.
It's not a shot at Dan. I'm just saying that like that mentality in its like as a whole in itself.
Yeah. It's not a shot at him. It's a very closed-minded, defeatist mindset because that's what they not to down Dan or anything, but that's what they want us to think, to let us have that perspective, to basically eventually give up and feel defeated and be like, well, I'll just take what I got. It's better than nothing. No. We need to keep fighting for what is not even about just to satisfy urges or anything like it's not about being like horny and stuff like that. It's not about that at all. It's just about not policing and being able to express yourself and your creativity, and
it's the principle of the matter. It's like we're getting an M-rated game. Why are we being treated like we're retarded
children.
or something? Like we
like
know
children.
what the fuck. Well, yeah, like children. Like we know what the body is like and all that, and they were promoting it way before the game even came out. Like the last
just
minute, it's like a bait and switch.
Yeah.
Look, you guys.
Yes. Why are you censoring? Oh, I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, are you guys familiar with the concept of death by a million cuts? So it's basically like it's like you make every concession you make is like a small cut. Every small cut might not seem like a big deal, but after every little cut builds up and you get more and more, eventually it's bad enough where you bleed out and die, right? So even saying like, oh, it's just a little censorship, it's not a big deal. That's a little cut, right? Oh, it's just a little wokeness, it's just a little cut. Oh, what do you mean? It's just a feminist character. It's not a big deal. Just play the game. A little cut, and eventually we end up where we're at now, where gaming is bleeding out. So that's like the concept of
saying, you give them an inch, they take a mile.
They take a mile. Right.
So as a that applies to so many different things with life. Where like if you go on the back foot and you keep conceding little things over and over again and just keep doing these little concessions, eventually you have all these like small little cuts, like I said, and then individually they're nothing, but collectively they kill you. You get me?
Right.
Does that make sense? So
oh yeah, it definitely makes sense because that's how it starts until it blows up into a bigger thing. Now it's all in our faces. It's hard to escape it. It is not hard to miss either. And then why censor a game? Because Stellar Blade is an M-rated game. So why are you censoring something that is mainly for adults anyway? Like we all know what the human body looks like by now. We're not children. So why police and try to censor us when it's a normal thing? Like
because
I don't get it.
Stellar Blade has balls because they say they're going to uncensor it worldwide, and then then Sony to pull that the last minute bullshit is really fucked up because they literally make Shift Up look bad in a sort of way because I don't know, but because this is not the first time they did this, and it won't be the last time they will do shit like this.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
It won't be the last time.
Mhm.
And again, like, but you know what? You know what's the biggest slap in the face? Because this is the part that people don't understand, and they overlook it all the time. Is that it's not only about Stellar Blade. It's like the hypocrisy from Sony. Like it's been stated over and over again within this podcast. You have Abby having blatant sex scenes. You have The Witcher 3 showing blatant nudity. And honestly, I like The Witcher 3, and I kind of think that in that game, you know, a lot of female characters are attractive. So I'm not bashing The Witcher 3. It's just more so that Sony is willing to accept these things from certain studios, right? Like Baldur's Gate 3
like,
and whatever.
I think it's
but then when it's Stellar Blade, when that's meant to appeal to more of like a specifically a male audience, all of a sudden that they feel like they have to censor this when the things in that game in Stellar Blade are nowhere near as X-rated or explicit as they are in the other games that I mentioned.
Let me say something real quick. You notice how all the games that they have been censoring have been Easter games, and all the stuff that they don't air or anything like that happens to be on Western.
Yep, that's the double standard and the hypocrisy that's been going on. Because not only do they do that, but the journalists cheer on the uncensored shit from Western games, but then they always clutching their pearls whenever they see an Eastern game that shows only mild amount of tits and ass.
Well, you know the difference is that a game like The Witcher 3, even though despite it having attractive women's and nudity, is that Witcher 3 has more like stuff that is in line with what the left think and what they are okay with. Like what woke people are okay with.
I was about to read that actually. I was about to read that. I'm sorry.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Witcher 3 is woke, but it has things that are in line with like what they believe in. You get what I'm saying? Same with like Baldur's Gate 3, where Baldur's Gate 3 has a lot of stuff in it that goes along with like their side of the aisle with their thinking. So they're more like, so Sony's okay with it. But with Eastern devs, where like you have characters that are covered up, because even the more like there's like maybe 3 costumes or 4 that really show a lot of skin for Eve, and even then they're covered up. You don't see any like real nudity. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, how can you say like, oh, it's bad to have cleavage, but then I can watch Geralt blow out Trish's back? You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand it. Like, at least if they were consistent with their censorship, I could say, well, Sony's a censorship. They're known for censorship in general, and you know, they do it all the time with every game, so I'm not surprised. But the fact that they're selective about it, and then they're censoring Eastern games that are not even doing like explicit things, and most of them are M-rated games, you have to call them out. You have to accept it for what it is. I think like if you're really being a realist, you'll acknowledge that there's a double standard there. I don't think you can be a realist and ignore that. That's a blatant. It's blatantly obvious what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, it is. But back to what Toby was saying on here. I was actually going to read that because that's another thing that happened recently too with this game. They censored the art book for it for the limited edition, where on PS4, but on the Switch version, it's not censored. And from my understanding, it's only like 2 pages within the art book that got censored. And it's like, you know, it's dumb. It makes no sense. Why you got to censor an art book for a limited edition, and it's not within the actual game that's being played within itself? So, because apparently the game itself is not being tampered with, but the art book is. And it makes no sense. Like the Switch, which is usually a family-friendly type of console, right? Nintendo is like more of like a family-friendly company, and they're not allowing this censorship. That's not to say Nintendo has never censored anything before, but in this case,
it was well known for censoring shit.
Yeah, like the Mario RPG, they censored something I forgot, but you know, it's crazy. It's like they got to censor a fucking art book now. Like, you can't even enjoy looking at an art book for a limited edition of a game. It's crazy.
It is. You basically like they practically like fucking over the people that was like excited for this type of stuff, and just is going to tone it down and all type of shit just to please whoever the fuck is either Black Rock or whoever.
Yeah, so it's all for the ESG score.
Yeah, it's just getting ridiculous.
It's not genuine. That's the thing. It's like they try to make it seem like they do it for like morality and all sort of shit. It's like it's not at all.
Yeah, it's just virtual censoring.
You can easily just look up ESG. You can see where these different consulting firms and all that trying to tell them like it's good to have a diversity hires and DEI and all that. And
yeah, just for the sake of fucking money.
Yeah, exactly. Because then it's like, oh well, they can benefit off of simply just having a studio with a diverse group of employees. When
the only color they only care about is green. So
yeah,
just.
But I don't know if Christian can hear me. If he has, I think he has his mic muted or not. I'm not sure. But I'm curious what he thinks about the censorship with Cellblade, and if he thinks that people have a right to complain about it the way that they have been. Hopefully, he can hear me. I don't know. Could be his internet connection or StreamYard. I know StreamYard fucking booted me out not that long ago, actually.
Yeah. All right, but I want to say something about the whole dance situation. I do agree with him with the Sony thing. They like them censoring things that is going to be enough. Fuck, what's that word? Is like it's bound to happen because Sony and they track record of censoring good shit. But at the same time, him saying that people who complain about it is crybabies and all type of shit was unnecessary. These people who was complaining about the game is passionate about it. It's more about ass titties, blood and gore. It's just that people are just sick and tired of Sony censoring shit.
Yeah, that's what it boils down to. People are tired of the censorship and the double standard, especially with Sony. People buy a game, they expect the product to be as advertised, and when you're not giving them that, keep in mind Stellar Blade is like $70 plus tax. They have a deluxe edition where it's only digital, and that costs even more money. So people are spending. Here's the thing: people should be spending their money in confidence that they should gonna get what's advertised to them. It's no different than when people spend money for a game that should at launch work properly.
Yeah.
They want to raise prices for all these games, and then it comes out broken, unfinished, and then everything that we're seeing leading up to it is the complete opposite of what we're getting.
And you have I don't know who, I think it was journalists or whoever the fuck said this stupid shit, but they wanted people to tip them for literally. Imagine somebody cook a half frozen dinner and expect a tip back. What do they like? What do they think they're going to expect? You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh,
you make a half-ass product. You're gonna make a half-ass product and expect people to tip you. Never mind the fact that games are already expensive as shit. You expecting me to literally take money out of my pocket to give you? I mean, you expecting me to give you more money for literally doing a half-ass job? It's just.
Yo, MS, thanks for tuning in, man.
Yeah, thanks for everyone who's tuning in. If I didn't,
I think he's leaving now. So.
Oh, he is. Oh, all right. So thanks for stopping by, MS. Have a good, have a good day. Have a good night. Appreciate it.
But yeah, it's like these games are so expensive now, and on top of that, they're not giving people the content that they want. It's like, what do they expect? How do they expect the gaming community to behave? What did they think? What did they really think was going to happen? That everybody was going
to suck it up.
Yeah,
and take it.
Everyone's going to sing "Kumbaya" while they ruin every franchise known to man, collect one by one in order. Because think about it, almost every mainline game series has been destroyed.
Yes.
Even Arkham. I never thought that Arkham would get destroyed the way it has.
I didn't think so either. It's like they made the impossible possible.
So I'm not shocked anymore. Then they took Last of Us, which was a good new IP. That's why people are disappointed with how they censor Japan, because a lot of the good games that are still games made for actual gamers are coming out of the East, right? Stellar Blade from Korea, Sekiro, Dark Souls or whatever. And thankfully they haven't played ball yet, but it's only a matter of time knowing Sony, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So
most definitely.
telling people to shut up and take it. It's like I don't understand how to anyone's mind that's like a good take to have, to just shut up and take whatever they try to shove up your what. Like, no, you got to say no. You got to speak up. You got to say I don't like this and here's why.
Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
like if you were at a restaurant and you had ordered a burger and it was not what it wasn't correct, and so were you just gonna sit there and eat it, or just be grateful that you got your meal in the first place, or you're gonna ask the waiter to come back and come fix your order? That's basically all that we're doing. So what's the difference here with a video game? Oh, because there's a sexy main character involved.
Yeah, we're supposed to just shut up. Well, at least we got the sexy main character. I guess that's good enough, right? It's like, no.
Yeah.
I mean,
more
despite
to it.
taking like
That was being shown
like
before.
9% of the shit in their censored, but they gotta take it. Like,
And especially considering
was saying, like, if you go to a restaurant, you look at the menu, flipping the menu over, you see the burger, you see exactly how it looks. You go tell the waiter or whatever, and you order it a specific way, and you get it. It's like completely wrong.
You order a burger, they bring you fish. And you're like, well, at least I got fish. I might as well just enjoy the fish. Like, what kind of mentality is that?
Yeah, what kind of mentality is that? It's just. I'm sorry, my bad.
No, it's fine. I was just gonna say, like, look, he did, like, there's also clear differences, right? Like, for example, Mortal Kombat 1, where they, most of the women are covered up. Yeah, it sucks. The designs suck. They're disgusting. The game is woke or whatever. But at least it wasn't censorship, because they never promised you those characters in revealing outfits before the game came out. So I can't say that they censored the costumes, right?
Right.
Even though obviously they're nerfed, they're ugly designs. I'm not defending it. I think that game looks ass. But my point is that they didn't bait and switch people. They didn't show you Melina from MK9 and then give you the Melina that's in MK1. You know what I'm saying?
Right. It'll be the same situation there.
Yeah. So it's not that like it's not only about the fact that, like, they're adding a fabric, or they cover things up, or they censor, or they like Mortal Kombat. If they like show the game had no fatalities in it anymore, right?
Yeah.
Like, let's say the new Mortal Kombat has no fatalities. If they never promised you fatalities, at least you could say it wasn't it is kind of censorship, but you get the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah.
That at least they didn't promise you something and then last second make those changes, like a bait and switch.
Yeah, exactly.
They wouldn't dare do that to Mortal Kombat. They'd rather take away the sexy women, decrease their breast size. They still got a little bit of thickness in the thighs but then people, I'm kind of muffled. Okay, can you hear me well now?
You sound like you had a mask on.
Oh, I sure did, because my mic was in my shirt. My bad. What part do I need to repeat? The whole thing?
I would repeat everything. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Basically, what I said was Mortal Kombat wouldn't dare take away the fatalities, because they know that that's the core of Mortal Kombat is the fatalities, but they would rather take away the sexy women, decrease their sizes, give them more
at this point
concealed outfits. I mean,
you got some of these.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't know about that, because you got some of these these fighting game community content creators want like a toned down version of Mortal Kombat with no blood or anything like that, for esports and shit. So hopefully they won't do it in the future. But
see, if I was running NetherRealm, this is why, like, if I was a CEO, I would have told them, if you don't want the blood, then fuck your esports. Because most players that play Mortal Kombat are casual players anyway. Honestly, Mortal Kombat being in like the hardcore, like the evil community is a relatively new thing since MK9 or MKX. I'm saying relatively new because those games are old. Most casual Mortal Kombat fans play it because they just want violence and sex appeal and fatalities and stuff. So honestly, if they were not catering to esports, the game would sell the same.
Yeah.
It really would. And just because the big tournaments want censorship doesn't mean that there won't be there's like numerous tournaments that are smaller, but they don't care about that stuff. So I don't think it would hurt the game at all if they just ignored esports. To be honest,
Yeah.
at least like
Well, they
at least
already
like
sold their soul a long time ago. So
and
yeah,
Yeah.
if they took it away, it wouldn't change it. It wouldn't
and
change the thing. Yeah,
also
you're right.
and
And
also
am
there's
I
two
honest?
things that
Oh,
sell.
go ahead.
I'm sorry, I'll
Sorry
say
about
this now,
that.
and I'll shut up, Y2. After I say this,
Nah, you
there are
cool, man.
there are two things that sell: sex and violence. Last of Us,
Yeah.
they ruined the sex
Yep.
appeal, but they kept the violence. Mortal Kombat, they toned down the sex appeal, but kept the violence. And then other games, they'll like
Mhm.
nerf the violence and keep the sex appeal. Because no matter how much people try to lie to themselves, at the end of the day, yeah, there's gonna be games that are like don't have those things that are fun. But the things that really sell, no matter how much people don't want to admit it, is sex appeal and violence.
Yeah.
The stories,
That's-
Exactly.
the
Like
stories have to be good. They can't be dog shit games, but without either of those things, your game is less likely to be successful. It's reality.
that's
Oh
that's
no,
facts
the
right there.
story can be terrible because it like MK's story was terrible since 9. 9 was okay, but it still had a lot of flaws to point out in it,
sus.
and nobody was. It was yes, that's where it started. It was sus because I feel like because John Tobias left, I feel like that's where it
Yeah.
fell apart, the lore and the characters. Because the amount of
Yeah.
retcons they did after every title, up to M1K, and I'm like. Well, I mean, but then people are still playing the game. I mean, I know the true core of video games is the gameplay. Yes.
Yeah. I
But
mean,
if
this
you're
what
gonna
happens
add a
with
story and
sorry.
characters and give them no, you're fine, and give them give them backgrounds and character development during the story, then it should be good of quality. Because I know a lot of people will say, "Oh, but the story doesn't matter. What matters is the gameplay." I mean, it can be for each his own. Some may prioritize video games more for the story and the characters. Some may prioritize the gameplay. Some prioritize both. You know, I've heard a lot of people that are into video games for different reasons, but you know, it's really sad to say that that it's heartbreaking because I grew up with this game, and just to now at the age I'm at and say if you just take away fatalities, nothing will really change.
Yeah.
It's like it'll just still slap the title Mortal Kombat on it and people will still buy it. And I'm like, that's not the heart of Mortal Kombat. You know, Mortal Kombat was dark and gritty, you know, and had a, you know, I miss that. Deception is my favorite. That's it. Hands down,
yeah, I
my
love
favorite
Deception.
Mortal Kombat game.
Like a
And
no
the best one.
forgiving
Baraka's my boy.
attitude. Yeah,
I'm sorry, repeat
but
that. What'd you
who, wait, who
say?
me or Japasi?
Well, both.
I
You,
all right,
you first. You first.
all right, all right. I say Mortal Kombat used to have a no fucks given attitude to it, but now when they had like hire all these people that literally get offended by every fucking word, be like the artists, the writers for your shit, it's going to flop.
Exactly. It's like, why do y'all care all of a sudden now? You didn't care then. Y'all were able to express it, you know, especially Mortal Kombat because of how dark and gory it can get because of
they
know
are
what
parasites.
the kind of title is. And now they now all of a sudden they want to care and be modest and but you still put all your heart. It is a lie because you put all the heart into the fatalities. So that hasn't changed. Like y'all. And then if you want to sit here and have the point of policing women's bodies and stuff like that in video games, okay, then like how you said, Jinpachi, about the violence. Well, you're a psycho and a sociopath for loving the violence. Okay, isn't that bad?
Yeah, exactly.
Or like a bad influence to kids and I guess even adults, since I think at one point in the earlier years, people want to point towards video games as a reason why there's serial killers out here. And there's no link towards because it's impossible and stupid. Like there's a lot of people like us that can play video games that are mature because and take it and play these games or even watch very violent movies and stuff like that because at the end of the day it's entertainment. It's not anything for us to take seriously.
Fiction.
It's fantasy. Yes, it's fiction. Thus why when you are tiptoeing and being timid and not putting your all into it, you're not reaching your full potential. You are holding back. There is no creativity. You can't fully express yourself. And I'm someone who's all about that. So that would drive me absolutely crazy, because and it's all for fake anyway, because I know low key at the end of the day, these people that are hoo and rah and influencing the wokeness all over these video games, I know they still do freaky stuff. If you guys get what I'm saying, trying to be censored
of
for the sake of the,
of course they
they
do.
still they're huge, the biggest hypocrites, because I'm pretty sure if you say that oh yeah, I wouldn't dare get with a Melina or something like that, or Bayonetta or Lara Croft. You know, they're just too sexualized. Say what they say about them, but then low key in real life, they go after women like that. You know, so.
Well, I'll tell you something crazy, because they're dishonest about it. But funny thing is, me and Revenant were like going back and forth with somebody on X, and I've had this happen with multiple people as well, where it's of saying, "Oh well, you're defending Stellar Blade, you're just perverts or whatever." Then I go on the guy's page, and he likes like Futanari, like hentai, and all kinds of like.
Are you talking about that error dude? I really wanted him to come on.
He's like,
I'm
I'll
looking
come
at
on if you pay me. I'm like, what?
I caught up and saw all the messages. I couldn't get to respond because I was busy, but I caught up and read all of them. I'm like, wow, this.
But I'm looking at it, like,
and lost brain cells.
Right? How can you call people pervs? You calling people pervs, and then your account is full of like hentai and perv shit,
bro. Like,
for real, what the hell?
And I saw, he was into Futanari. That's some real.
Like, bro.
But this is not the first time. I've had back and forth with other people. I remember some guy was like, "Oh, like to me and Christian Frady saying we're just perverts," and I go on his account and he likes a whole bunch of like OnlyFans Insta thoughts and shit, leaving comments. I'm like, I can see your likes publicly. I can see your comments publicly.
Yeah,
what the hell? Like, but
the
the point is that they're all projecting, because they're projecting. They're projecting stuff because they feel guilty, but they want to seem like good people. They want to make everyone believe they're virtuous, aka virtue signaling. But then you look at what they're actually doing. It's like they're trying to cover up for their own actions. Like with Mortal Kombat and other games, like I was saying before, it's like Ed Boon and all these companies, because this is what seems, based on what I observed, this is what happens. A game comes out like Stellar Blade, right? For example, I'm using it as an example, but let's not. I'm not being literal. It's just an example. It makes it big. It gets millions of dollars. It does well. Gets the attention of a company like Sony or Microsoft or like or Take-Two or something. They're like, hey, we want to buy your game. We're going to give you 40 million, 50 million because we like the IP so much. We like your studio. They play ball because they want more money. They feel like, hey, we can grow the company and make it bigger. But then as they take this money from investors, as they get signed on, then all the stipulations kick in. Then they're saying, well, all right, well, we like this
NDA bullshit.
But we want to have more of an audience. So can you tone down the violence? Can you tone down the sex appeal? Can you change the language here? And all of a sudden their creative vision gets corrupted. And you see that with smaller developers. Look at Minecraft, right? Or like any other game where like a game starts off humbly, it's a huge success, a big company acquires it, and then once it stops being niche, they start trying to appeal to everyone. And then they end up saying, well, grandmas might not like violence. Little kids shouldn't be seeing this sex appeal, so we want them to play the game or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then eventually it gets corrupted and nerfed, and then you end up with a thing where like Batman is talking about white privilege in a movie, or like whatever bullshit. Bullshit.
He also said it in Gotham Knights as well.
I don't know, man. But the point is that you get something that does well, or it has a following, it has a fan base, it's growing slowly, and then it becomes a massive corporate pile of shit because you have too many tentacles in the pot. You know what I mean? Like too many hands in there. So I think like even with games like Stellar, like even with Eastern devs, what games are the ones that are becoming the most woke, the biggest ones, the Capcoms, the Square Enixes, right, of the world. Like they're massive. They become massive corporations, and now their mindset is like, we need to appeal to everybody, because if your game costs $100 million to make, you got to make 300 million back, and they're not confident that their niche following is going to give them that profit that they need to sustain the company or sustain the project. So there's so many factors that go into it that, like, you know, it's almost like a thing where, like, telling people, like, when you tell people to shut up and take it, it's telling these companies that, hey, we can keep doing this, and we'll get the money from these corporate investments, but we'll also get the fan base because they're going to buy whatever we do no matter what, right? And then that's when you end up with like a Ubisoft, with like the Assassin's Creed series or anything like that.
It's good you had mentioned that, because we can quickly segue to the next topic about Square Enix losing 140 million, and then we can segue back to Stellarblade, and then wrap it up from there.
Okay.
So, would you want me to read the article? I can find it.
Yeah, for sure. Read it.
All right.
And
try to find it.
And I want to say, look, I'm a passionate guy. I'm an intense guy. Like anybody who knows me, like I'm like that. That's just me. I like Melina, I've told you about this, and Revenant. Like, I like mixed martial arts. I like training. I like lifting weights. I like fucking Doom. I like,
I've been to your tournaments.
I like that stuff. I like it, right? And I feel like you have to, when you're passionate, you have to let out that passion and use it to speak on what you think is wrong.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Yes, I'm just like you on that. That's the main word to describe me. I'm a very passionate person.
Yeah, so my passion doesn't come from a place from like hatred or anything like that. Like, Dan Nerd's fine. It's just a disagreement. But I feel like I get passionate defending these things or talking about these things because to me they matter. And you look at the world around us, it's like you need passionate people to speak up. Because if you're not passionate, like if you're not strong enough to repel evil, I'm not saying that Dan's not evil. I'm just saying like evil ideologies in general, right? Like bad, dumb shit. If you can't repel and block it, you let it win. If you're not strong enough to fight it, then you by default are allowing it to win. So I feel like if you feel strongly about something, and that goes for anybody, like you should be able to defend it and be strong enough in your position to explain why. Have courage. Don't back down from it, because that's what they want. They want people to be afraid of getting ganged up on. They want people to be afraid of receiving flack and feeling like they're in a minority, and then that's how they win and get away with their BS. So I just want to say that because I think that's important.
I agree with everything you said. I couldn't say it better myself, the way my ass fumble words. So that is very much appreciated, Jinpachi.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna read the article and I'm gonna ask you guys' opinion on it, and then I'm gonna rotate the panel again to get Mr. Gamer and Dan Nerd's opinion on it, the whole Square Enix thing. Because Dan Nerd had wrote in the private chat he wanted to. I was gonna rotate it anyway in regards to this, so let me try to skim through this as best I can. I'm not gonna read everything word for word because they do specify like how much yen they lost. So I'm just gonna mention in U.S. currency. Square Enix has revised its approach to PC and console game development and absorbed, where is it at, 140.9 million in what it calls content abandonment losses. Let me keep scrolling. In a warning to the investment community, the Japanese company said it would recognize the extraordinary loss for the fiscal year ended March 2024. This is the result of a change in approach to Square Enix's development of what it calls HD video game, PC and console, as opposed to mobile and MMO. In its note, the company said it wants to be more selective and focused in the allocation of development resources, and as a result of the close examination of its development pipeline, with this mind, what am I at? Is taking the multi-million-dollar loss. Square Enix did not name the canceled or rescoped development titles. Where we're at, advertisement. Here's a statement in full. At the meeting, you know what? Let me not read the fucking long ass shit. Okay. In February, Square Enix had forecast full year sales of approximately 2.3 billion, up 16.8% over the previous fiscal year, but it predicted profit would be flat at approximately 350 million. Square Enix said it was carefully reviewing its forecast to assess any impact from the write-down. Square Enix released a major title. All right, Final Fantasy. Yeah, they're basically just going over the shit that they released. So recent titles they released that obviously did not do well: Final Fantasy 16, Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, and Foam Stars. It's the fake Splatoon, and obviously I think the year prior, Forspoken came out. What else they had that year? Recently, what was it?
They have
Star Ocean.
I
Second
know it's
story
not
R or whatever.
recently, but they have Outriders as well.
That too, yeah, that didn't do too well. So I mean, when you think about it, really the only thing that's like constantly making the money currently is Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah.
But do you guys think any like series or particular games are going to be affected by this?
I think Final Fantasy budgets might not be affected that much because that's like a big name for them. I think games like Deus Ex and other like other.
Oh no, they don't have them anymore. They sold that to Embrace Group.
Okay, so yeah, there you go. So I think like a lot of their side projects are gonna be like shit canned, and you might only get like Final Fantasy related stuff going forward. I can't even really think of anything else right now that they have that's major enough.
They still have Nier, which Yoko Taro is teasing a Nier.
Oh yeah, Nier.
Dragon Quest.
Yeah, so Nier, I'm sure Nier will be fine.
Dragon Quest 12 is in development still. There's a rumor that they were planning on trying to do a Final Fantasy 9 remake.
God damn, another remake?
Yeah, I hope it's not true.
I hope they skip 8.
Where?
Yeah,
they're skipping 8 right now. God damn.
Yeah.
Thank God too. Thank God for that. I'm happy about that.
Kingdom Hearts 4, because there was like a teaser trailer a few years ago about that. So Kingdom Hearts 4
I remember that
coming out at some point.
Wait, hold on. Side note.
Maybe.
Wait, side note. My fault. Thank God that EA is not remaking Dead Space 2. Ooh.
Oh yeah, thank God for that. Yeah. But
go ahead.
Yeah.
What else was it?
I just think anything that's not a big series like Nier
12, I think,
or whatever.
Right?
Yeah, any of those games, I think their budgets will be somewhat unaffected. I think Kingdom Hearts actually might take the hit there. Out of all 4 of those, I
think that because the third
Kingdom
one
Hearts might be the one.
I believe.
Yeah, so I think that might be the one to take the hit there in terms of budget. But I think most of the stuff they got shit canned or that their budgets were reduced, we don't even know about, or they're not like public, or they're smaller projects because they're gonna cut off the side fat before the meat. I think Star Ocean might be. So I think anything that's considered side fat is gonna receive the brunt of it.
Yeah.
Before like Final Fantasy does, to be honest. Because it's like a thing where people have been conditioned for big budget Final Fantasy. So I doubt that if they reduce the scope of those games by a lot, I think that it's gonna be even worse for them, honestly. In terms of like, I'm talking about like technically, like with like the budgets. I think that'll just make things even worse for them overall.
I mean, they can start by stop making every Final Fantasy seem like a movie, or trying to.
I mean, 16 that was hard to play.
And yeah, that was the demo. I couldn't get through the fucking demo. God, that was.
That was harsh, man. Because like that intro was boring. Oh my goodness! There were some interesting ideas. Don't get me wrong. Like some of the story elements they added were cool, but like it was hard to like play through that. Like I was so bored.
Like
honestly,
people give 15 and 13 shit. Come on, like 16. God.
When I put it like that, they might as well continue to make remakes of the I guess you say like the first 10, because 14, 15, and I guess some say 15 too, and 16 are just boring. Yeah. Like they don't have the creative drive to make these stories, so they might as well keep doing that.
The sad thing about 16 is that there's good story stuff in there, but it's just like the way the game is presented to like the player and at least it's just my personal opinion. Like it just felt like really like boring and like dragging on and on, Like I couldn't, and that was just a demo. So I can't even imagine like once you start going into the open world and like, and honestly, I've seen the whole game basically for the most part from like a lot of it. Like,
I've seen like a long ass review of it. So
I've seen a long ass review and a lot of the gameplay, and like, it just ain't for me. Maybe somebody else could enjoy it, but for me, like, it ain't. It's not a great Final Fantasy.
Yeah,
that's my opinion. But they should really stop with the remakes.
They really should. I hope 9 was canceled. I hope that wasn't even a real thing.
The bright side, which I know is not true, is that I would imagine they would make the game one game. If they learned their lesson from this, hopefully, if they're gonna remake it anyway, at least they make it one full game instead of chopping it into 3 or 4.
Yeah, hopefully.
Do you guys think that because I was thinking I thought about this a couple times, like with the trend of remaking games, especially the best ones that made history and statements and all that. That I feel that it comes to a point where they're like, I feel like a lot of these companies are now running out of ideas, especially since you got some of the old heads still in these chairs, and then you got today's day and age generation working in these studios.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really the younger generation in today's day and age society overpowering the old heads.
Yeah.
And then they're kind of like pushing them out and then bringing in their friends. And it's like, because when they come in, they're ruining everything they touch, especially since you could tell because they want to take old IPs and make it quote unquote new, but really they're ruining it. Or they just, these same companies still have the same IPs, like no one else has bought them, but they're trying to make them for everybody. And as well as, instead of just doing something new, it's like, it just goes to show you they can't make anything new, because how can you make something new and make it for everybody? You just can't. Just stick to your old formula, your same formula, the formula that was never broken to begin with, and it was perfectly fine, and just leave it at that. Because at the end of the day, you're still gonna have your core hardcore fans and audiences, because we love these games. A lot of us grew up with it. We know what's best for it. Even though we're not working there, we don't have degrees to be in these studios and stuff like that. But if I can come up with a better story and a better way to flesh out a character, especially if there's an idea, so many ideas that can be used, and they're either nowhere near touched, or they do, but it's underdeveloped, or they'll backtrack on it. They never really commit to anything. Then I feel like you have failed at what you're doing. If I feel like I'm better off at that studio and I can come up with a better game, better characters, then I feel like you as a developer, as a storyteller, you have failed. You don't belong there. And I sound harsh about it, but this is my passion.
They're underqualified.
Coming out.
They're underqualified.
Yeah, you're underqualified. You can't even be fully creative if you're gonna start wanting to downsize women's bodies and police them, and then make women masculine, and then make men pussies. Like,
yeah, exactly.
It's just terrible. And I really think that at this point, I feel like we a lot of us need to band more together, because of course it's only going to get worse from here, and we're just going to constantly keep having remakes. I feel like this is going to be the new age of video games, where they're just going to remake stuff that was great at that time, because a lot of it don't need to be touched. I do not want a Resident Evil 5 remake. I didn't want a Resident Evil 4 remake.
Hell no.
So like, that's there's just certain things you just do not touch.
But here's the thing, right? Because a remake is only as good as the director that the story is being focused through, because it's an interpretation of an already existing tournament. What's up, Cass? Thanks for tuning in. But yeah, like, all right, if the director has to understand the vision or the scope of the original game in order to make a true remake, right? Like a remake that has like substance. So if the writer is like the guy from, like, if the director is the guy from Kingdom Hearts, and you see what his own personal work looks like, it's going to reflect through how he filters Final Fantasy through his like lens of like what he likes, right, and what he does. Or for example, with a movie example, is like Zack Snyder, where he's filtering DC characters through his mind's scope of what the characters are. So
his vision.
In the end of the day, the remakes are going to be doomed
usually, because a lot of these people that are filtering these stories are going by modern sensibilities and things like that. But I also wanted to mention before, to Melina's point about them not needing to be remade or to be made for modern audiences, because remember,
if it's broke, don't fix it. You know,
when all the things that we like, right? Like whether it be like Batman,
if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Whether it be Batman, Mortal Kombat, or whatever, all those things were niche. They weren't made for modern audience, and they became popular because they were so good that they had inherent mass appeal. So if you're going, you don't need to go into the scope of something saying, "Oh, I need this to appeal to the modern audience or to as many people as possible," because your thing is gonna appeal to your niche, and if it's really good, your niche is gonna spread it for you. Because that's like having like my nephew. I could say, "Oh, yo, I'm gonna let you play Arkham. I'll lend you the game. Play it and let me know what you think." And he likes it, right? And that's how like these things spread naturally. And all the series that we enjoy have spread that way, right? Like Final Fantasy. Like how many people in the Final Fantasy VII era in the original, where the original came out, they said, "Hey, try out Final Fantasy VII. It's really good." They might not even like RPGs, but they played that game and it got them into it. Even though that game wasn't made for everyone, it was made for a niche audience. So the idea that these corporations need to force all this shit into their remakes, into whatever M-rated game, whatever series, to try to make it appeal to people that don't like the games, it's like doomed to fail. It's like you're injecting poison into something that
like
you're injecting poison into your own
poison into my
to my own creation. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You're fired. No, I'm sorry. I had that.
But here's the thing about here's the thing about these companies relying on like the same old IPs instead of making new ones, because the Capcom is doing this with Resident Evil and Street Fighter. Well, another one was,
look at that Exo Primal.
yeah, and
trans walruses on stream and shit. Like, what the fuck is going on with these companies? Like, they're letting all the wrong people
and that game was
with this shit.
Yeah, and that game itself is and that game itself is another catcher game. So, pay to win type of situation.
Cash grab, gotcha game. Yeah.
Look out, Square Enix with the Final Fantasy. The last new games that they made, Outriders and Forspoken, was fucking trash.
Wow.
So
because that's the sensibilities of the people making the game now. Like that's why culture. That's why all this culture shit is so important. Because excuse me, I'm sorry, I had a little gas. Sorry about that. But anyway, it's important because people are no matter what you look at. People like to think like it doesn't affect them, but what you look at and what you engage with, it programs you a bit, right? So like a lot of these college kids, a lot of like these young 20-year-olds or whatever that are getting into these industries, they're being influenced by what's contemporary. That's why they're trying so hard to control the narrative in media, because they know like if they control the content that's being put out, it's going to influence these people and they're going to naturally gravitate to create that content because that's what they're familiar with. So in the case of like, let's say like Outriders or whatever, the modern sensibilities are around games as a service, right? Gotcha games or whatever. So because that's what's contemporary, a lot of these people are trying to recreate that, right? While the people before them, they were influenced by like older PS2 games, and you saw the PS2 influence in like the Xbox era. Then the Xbox era started adding a shit ton of microtransactions. They saw these successful games and kids got used to it. So now a lot of people don't even question the microtransactions anymore. And it's crazy to think about like the duality between like the 360 era, where people were going crazy trying to like stop companies from pushing all the microtransaction shit, to now where it's almost expected and normalized. Now you're wondering if a game is going to have it or not. It's shocking when it doesn't have it. So in a way, all this stuff has been normalized progressively. And like right now we're dealing with the dog shit era of games as a service, right? Where only a small percentage of them are actually good anyway.
Yeah. It's like a needle in a haystack. Good luck finding a good one.
And again, all these kids growing up playing these free-to-play games on their consoles, like that they're conditioned for that now. So when they get older, they're gonna think that's good. To them, that's good. That's what gaming is. And the older generations are gonna get they're gonna end up being phased out because they're not gonna want to engage with these products. And that's what the plan is. So that's why I think it's important that we speak out and we try to
push things to the games that we actually want to play, and not be willing to bend for a game series you like becoming a game as a service, for example.
Yeah, it's like
in
my
the case
nephew
of
when he's like trying to
Arkham.
talk about like current games and shit. Like I'm like, man, if only you knew how good it was. Like if like
Yeah.
I get it. Like you
Yeah,
want
man, bro.
like I understand, but I'm like
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I'm like, trust me. Like if you knew what I grew up with, like you would see that it's like
Oh
night
man.
and day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude,
It's like so
I
crazy
grew up with
how
Resident Evil 1,
different
Resident Evil
quality
2.
is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Think about
The
Resident Evil 2,
original.
the classic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the original
like that game
two
is
rare
amazing.
games.
Yeah, exactly. And they were like
I'm gonna
the-
go a little back. The
the-
Genesis. That had
Oh
good
yeah,
games too.
yeah, the Genesis games.
Shit, I even got the
But really,
Genesis on collection. Yeah.
Honestly,
like,
right
you
quick,
know,
if there's
it's
any game out of the Resident Evil franchise that needs to be remade, it's Veronica X.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
why?
hell yeah,
That
exactly,
definitely deserves it. But they're
Exactly.
but they're
I don't know
gonna
why
give us a Resident Evil 4 remake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you don't know.
And
You don't know
now-
how many times I told that shit to Revenant.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
told
yeah,
Revenant
that's
so many
another thing.
times. Even before 4 remake came out, I was like, yo, after I played 3, I'm like, they gotta
Yeah.
remake Code Veronica. I was like, I told him, I was like, I bet you they're gonna remake 4, but they have to
Yeah,
remake
yeah.
Code Veronica. Like that one
Nah,
would be great.
I don't think that never
Yeah.
gonna happen. They rather
Because
remake
of how much time they didn't have to finish the game, thus there was a lot of issues. So, that would be perfect.
also-
I would love
also
to
to fix
see
the
that
dialogue.
game
To
and
make
be
the
able to
dialogue
play.
more
Yeah, and
organic.
fix the dialogue.
Oh,
yeah.
That too.
But in
Steve.
my opinion, I don't think
Because
we're going to see.
Steve is
Oh, sorry.
cringe. I'm sorry, Steve.
Yeah,
Steve
Steve.
is cringe.
Oh,
He's
yeah,
like,
Steve was cringe.
He's like,
Claire,
I'm
help me.
sorry, Claire. With his
I'm
Canadian
sorry,
accent.
Claire. He
I'm
don't even
sorry,
say it right.
Claire.
With his Canadian accent.
He's like, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Steve was such a joke.
But
His
no
green
offense to
bean
Canadians.
ass.
No offense to Can-
Yeah, sorry about that. But I don't think we're going to see Code Veronica being remake. They're right remake
Five.
Operation Raccoon than that.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll probably
because-
see
If,
that.
if they
Oh,
really
hell
do
no.
go
They
through and
made a
remake
remake
5, I'm gonna
Survivor.
kill myself.
Yeah.
Bro,
N-
because
nowadays-
5
Yeah.
5 doesn't
if they
need to
if
be
they
remade.
butcher my
It's a-
Sheva, I'm going
Get
to.
ready for it.
I'm,
Get ready
yeah,
for it.
no,
you know
I
what?
can't. I can't.
You're gonna have the jaw.
I'm more worried about Chris.
She's punching the boulder this time.
Yeah, she
You're
has
worried
to
about
punch
Sheva.
the
Shiva
boulder.
Shiva gonna punch the boulder this time.
Yeah.
So
You're worried about Sheva. I'm worried about Chris. Chris is one of the most masculine, badass male game character. It's like Sheva says in the game that he's like a superhero. You think they're gonna
Yeah.
have a masculine character that's badass and heroic in a modern Resident Evil game?
Hell
Especially
no.
a remake.
No.
If you don't think they're gonna bitch him out in that game, then you're mistaken. All those muscles gone. Guarantee you they're gonna slim him
Yeah.
down. They're gonna make they're gonna shift the dynamics where Sheva's gonna save Chris a lot of the times where he saves her. Like they're gonna tone down like the eugenic stuff from Wesker. They're gonna either try to portray him as like some blatant racist, or they're gonna try to say he's they're gonna just make him like a typical like
yeah.
bad male character instead of, and
Be
basically
an
remove his
allegory for Trump.
remove his personality.
Yeah.
And then in the game, you're in Africa shooting you're fighting African zombies like infected, and like even at the time that game came out, people thought it was controversial. Imagine now.
Imagine that, right?
So they're gonna
Even
change.
though
They're gonna
I
change
found
the
nothing
hell out
wrong
of
with
it.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it made
Right.
Excella masculine, fat, and ugly, and she's dominant over Wesker.
There
Yeah.
was a
Yeah, they're
video
probably gonna
years
replace
ago
them
where
with-
the voice actors, like even the woman who voice act Sheva, who's black,
Sheva, yeah,
like,
she defended it.
they defended it. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So
Yeah,
it's like, they don't have a problem with it. I don't understand why people would take issue with it. So
Because
but
it's
Apollo
just
Patriots,
it's-
right?
it's current
Hold on,
day.
hold on.
They're gonna find something to be
Apollo
bothered by.
Patriots said Hunk is Doom guy. I agree. Hunk is badass.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's virtual signal. Like they trying to pretend to care about. Oh, look, they shooting up all the Africans in Africa, and you know how that shit is. Like
yeah.
they
And you know they
really don't
toned
give
it
a fuck.
down before the game came out because a lot of the Majini, like infected people, because who cares what color they are? If they're infected, they're infected. And if they're trying to kill you, you gotta defend yourself and kill them.
Yeah, and
But
the
I
most,
love how before the game came out, you could tell that they had added not being racist or anything like that, but they because this is what I just said as a kid. George Lopez, some random white dude, and I had made excuses as a kid. That as a kid, I figured they were visitors to Africa because there's no excuse how you're in the core of Africa and I'm not. I'm seeing a bit of everybody as the Majini. Like I see black men. There was a couple of women, but after I think chapter 1, and you go to the marshlands, then you don't really see any women anymore. But I love how the ordinary civilians, I guess you say the more modern part of Africa, there was a bit of everybody. And I'm like, well, I'm just going to pretend as a kid, I looked at them as visitors. Because
but I mean, there's South Africans that are white though. You know what I mean?
They are.
But the point is that like, it's just that game as a whole. I don't see how that game's not warped in all kinds of directions with a remake. Like, and then think about the superhuman aspects of Wesker, and think about how much more grounded all the remakes have been. How do you think they're going to portray Wesker's like superhuman abilities? Like that game, Resident Evil 5, for better or worse, is very comic booky in a way.
It is. It is actually.
And I could just imagine them toning that down. And to me, like, if you do that, then you killed the spirit of the game. Resident Evil 5 was supposed to be the final confrontation between Chris and Wesker, right? And like, if you tone that down and you make it more grounded, it loses that larger than life like feel that game had. Because I'm not. That's one of those games that a lot of people bashed later on, but I really like that game. And it's funny that retrospectively people bashed that game, but it was one of the highest selling PS5 games. I mean, sorry, PS5, highest selling Resident Evil games at the time.
I think, isn't it still is, right?
I think it might still be,
yeah.
So
but I let me rotate the panel because let me get Mr. Gamer, Dan Nerd, and Christian Brady's take on the Square Enix topic.
All right.
Real quick, and I'll bring you guys back on and rotate it so then we can finish up closing thoughts on Stellar Blade with the censorship and the petition and all that. And then we can wrap it up, outros and all that. But I'm going to rotate it real quick.
All right. Okay. No problem.
Yo, Revenant, at the end of the stream, you got to play that Stellar Blade soundtrack to tie things out.
All right, I'll try to find it.
I was hearing everything that you were discussing about Chris and losing the muscle and all that shit, Jen. And honestly, it won't be as serious as you think, but it's definitely going to be toned down in a lot of areas and such. But
I hope not. I hope they don't tone down their muscles.
I'm sure he won't look emaciated or anything, but I'm sure it'll be toned down a bit.
The only reason I turned down Chris's muscles the first time was because people didn't like it.
No. See, and the thing is, I don't give a shit about the muscle shit. I'm talking the muscle crap. I'm talking about like character-wise, because Rev, you and Jen and I can completely disagree on RE4 and everything else. But here's the thing, like RE2, Leon, the way it played out, Ada had the gun on Leon. Leon was still believed that Ada was how he perceived her to be. In the remake, how did the scene play out? I'm not even talking about my interpretation of the scene. I'm talking about how did the scene play out, because this is how it's going to. I'm getting to my point regarding the RE5 remake, but Leon had his gun on Ada because he suspected her, unlike in the original. And the way I see Chris being depicted in the RE5 remake is that he's going to have like toned down muscle, obviously, because even then it was ridiculous. You should have seen the memes back then with how huge his biceps were. But like as a character, I don't think they're going to assassinate him.
I hope not.
Yeah, because
I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong, Yusef. I'm not saying like in a way like that for sure they're going to do it. I hope I'm wrong. I really do, because like they could tone down the muscles. Like in Resident Evil 6, they toned it down, but he was still like fairly muscular. Even when in 8, he was still pretty built. But I'm not talking about like him being like 5 in terms of like how big he was. I just feel like they're gonna give him an average man's physique in 5 remake, which I don't think is a good idea because Chris is a tough guy, a special soldier and shit.
Exactly. That is something I would definitely have a big issue with. In the same way I would a fat woman who's jumping around and doing acrobatics and all that shit.
Yeah.
But like. But like regarding Sheva, and here's my issue with the character of Sheva, even back in the original. And Melina, I don't care about your thing for Sheva. I'm talking about like story-wise. It makes sense that Steve was going to be the one who would be controlled by Wesker. I mean, what did Wesker say to Claire and Chris regarding Steve? How she might even get to see him again when he does whatever to him. And it should have been Claire who was accompanying Chris and not Sheva. And the reason, and I dare anyone to dispute this, the reason she was added in is to counteract the racist backlash the game was going to receive because of it being set in Africa.
I don't disagree with you. I think that's actually a very valid point about how why she was in the game. I think it was to deflect some of the criticism, and I also agree that I think Claire should have been in the game, or even Jill. I think Claire will be. I think Claire will be better because they've never been in a game where you. Well, I mean, they were in Code Veronica, but I mean, like a co-op game between the two would have been interesting dynamics. So I agree with you there. But
they gave us
think
Jill and Chris in the DLC. Though,
I think Jill would have worked too, but I do think that they added Sheva to nerf the criticism about Chris fighting. I think that's probably like what they did.
Oh
yeah.
Because here's the thing, I don't I don't have a fucking crush on say Ethan or Chris or whatever or any of that shit. That shit to me is just meh. But I'm talking about story wise and how it makes sense and such. And honestly, Sheva to me even now she just feels out of place. But but for what they did with her, she was fine.
She served her role in my opinion. I personally like the character, but I do think that Claire would have been better. But I'm not gonna lie to you, I do like Sheva. But for me, the main thing that they have to retain is that Chris is not an average guy. You know what I'm saying? If they need to keep his appearance in line with what he was. I mean, he's been fighting bioweapons for 10 plus years, right? People forget to realize that the reason why Chris is so bulky is because he had to counteract Wesker because Wesker had become so powerful that he had to be at a physical peak. I do agree that the design was exaggerated, but I think what they did with 6 and 8 is a much more balanced balanced level of strength and looking strong but being somewhat grounded. But what I don't want them to do is I don't want them to go Resident Evil 7 route where they really thinned him the fuck out, and I was like, this guy looks like an average fucking Joe now. I look like he looks like I could leg kick him to death. How am I supposed to believe he's fighting biomutants? Come on.
I don't get that. The change in R7.
Question phrase, what were you gonna say?
Well, I'm so glad I bought the original Resident Evil 4 and 5 before the remake for 4 came out for my Xbox Series X, because I'm not going to buy a remake that has censorship, and I'm glad that in a way they're not making Resident Evil 5 because they would censor the cuss out of it.
Well, yeah. It's definitely a good possibility, yeah.
Yeah, and you know what surprised me most, and this is why I love the RE remakes over something like Dead Space. Even the cussing, in those games, aren't as bad as say Dead Space. It was just over the top in a game like that, and also
trying to be too edgy.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say Mr. I was trying.
No, you guys go first. I'll say what I say last.
I was trying to make a fantastic Mr. Fox reference because characters say what the cuss.
Oh, okay. I got it.
So I was just gonna say that in Resident Evil 2, I found in the remake, I found Leon's cursing realistic because I can imagine that you're in that situation, you shoot a guy 6 times in the head and he doesn't go down. He's like, "What the fuck?" I'm like, that's what I would say.
Yeah.
If I was in a situation. So I actually don't mind the cussing if it's used appropriately, but then there's the opposite end when they just do it to be edgy, like Saints Row Reboot, for example, where you have the douchebag main character saying fuck every 2 seconds within whatever. So it's all about how it's done.
But let's get back to the whole Square Enix topic because I wanted to hear Dan Nerd, Christian, and Mr. Gamer's thoughts on it. Let me start off with Christian. What do you think of Square Enix losing 140 million? And are there any games that you think from there is that they're going to they're going to abandon due to the loss, since they now want to be very selective of what games they end up making?
Well, I'm actually not surprised, and I helped make the IMDb company page for Sweet Baby so people will know that games like Forspoken were made by those companies, so that way less gamers are likely to buy it.
Okay.
I've done a good thing.
Yeah. It's good. It's good to shed light on these subjects. So, Dan, any thoughts on it?
The whole like Square Enix situation. This is only a benefit for them, because like now they're just gonna focus on their major fucking titles and stuff. And arguably, like people are trying to say, "Oh, Square Enix is dead," or this loss. Yes, this loss hurts them for the first physical year of this year, but overall, this is not that big because if you look at their stocks, the moment they announced this, their stocks skyrocketed. So like Square Enix is perfectly fine. Like, this whole situation is like, yeah, in my personal opinion. So overall, if anything, this is just to be a benefit for like future titles because now they're more focused and no longer do those live service games that always flop because they were trying to get into the live service market because they're trying to get into any other market outside of their classical titles. So like, overall, they're fine.
Right.
This is only a
Well,
benefit.
I kind of agree with what you're saying with the live service games. So I really do hope that they abandon them and like focus on like what people really want. My only concern is like other franchises, like say like Star Ocean, for example, or even like Dragon Quest, because I think they're good series that should stick around, including Nier. But I would assume Nier would be fine since Automata did so well.
Well, Nier's on the bigger end now, I
guess,
think.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So
it's just like their majors, like their smaller titles that don't bring in that many people or sales are going to get hurt. So I don't know about Star Ocean because I don't know anything about it. But if that's like one of the smaller end franchises, that's going to get hurt in a small way. Because aren't they like, currently like promoting different people? Because I heard like a few people got promoted to like head leads now. So like they're just doing a big old reset of the company.
Well, I hope the reset goes well.
Restructuring some people,
and they control the content though, because like they can focus their finances into key titles and trying to like trim the fat, but also the games that come out have to be like good as well. So I'm hoping that they can learn from the mistakes that they've made in the past few years with 16 Rebirth and whatnot, and Kingdom Hearts, and they can help.
Yeah.
They can try to focus and make these next games better and more complete and more full games. Because to me, in my opinion, they've been on the downcline since 15.
Yeah. And my hope is that like I hope like other series that are doing well, at least relatively well, are not really like affected, and they really look at the one that again like a big series like Final Fantasy. Why is that on the decline? You know, it has. I mean, clearly has a bigger budget than all the other games that they're putting out. Why is that underperforming? So I feel like I hope other like series and studios aren't like affected by it because you know when you think about all like these high budgets, Final Fantasy is like the number one, and if that's not raking in the money that it should, then that should really be evaluated and considered and really looked at. You know,
yeah.
That's just poor marketing. Because like Square Enix has poor marketing. Like I look back, they like released like 15 games like one year, and like they don't market their stuff. Like they have poor marketing for the past few years for some reason. Crazy.
Well, with Rebirth and Remake, I don't think that's a marketing thing. I think it's that
or
a lot
even
of people
16. I mean,
where
they had
a lot of people are disappointed,
and they had commercials for them, and you know,
everyone who bought Remake. Everyone who bought Remake should have bought Rebirth, or at least most of them should have. They should have got a lot of those people to come back.
Okay. Well, you have to also look at what time zone Remake released. What happened that changed the world when Remake was released?
COVID. Wouldn't you think there would be more people would not get it? A lot of people got it physically as well.
Yeah, more people
I
would
mean,
more people wouldn't buy, but it did well, and Remake did well, but
you think
Rebirth
about
didn't do
COVID,
as well.
a lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of people were like being evicted from their apartments because they couldn't pay rent. I mean, all this other crazy shit happening. You would figure, I mean, shit. A lot of people probably wouldn't want to get it because then it's like, all right, what if my copy of the game has COVID? You know, there was stories of people wiping down their
My copy
groceries and
has
shit.
COVID.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
But you know, it's like Remake. Like a lot of people played that. They thought they were gonna get one thing. It wasn't what they thought, and I think that affected Rebirth because if anything, Remake should have sold worse in the climate that it was in. But it did, you know, it sold well. It had more and more people buy the game. So I think that the factor is the quality of Rebirth. It has good things about it, but if the story is not up to par and if people are disappointed, they're not going to buy the sequel. At least more than half of the people that bought Remake should have bought Rebirth.
Yeah. And people use the excuse that, oh, it's on PS5, it's exclusive. I mean, the PS5's been out for a couple of years now, and there's a shit ton of people that have it. There's more people that own PS5s than Xbox Series X or whatever we want to call it.
Well, the reason why I own an Xbox Series X is because of backwards compatibility and a disk drive.
Yeah, I mean, that's the key point of why people will get an Xbox. I mean, but other than that, you know, a lot of people look at the games that are on there, like as far as like current gen games that are on Xbox, like
a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah, so a lot of people get in the Xbox for backwards compatibility. I don't blame them. It makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean,
I have an Xbox Series. I have an Xbox One X. I just use it to play my 360 games with better resolution, with better, and be able to record footage and shit. Like I don't use it for anything that came out at that time. And the only games that I played that were contemporary, like Gears of War 5, were massively disappointing for me. So
yeah,
not much.
Mr. Gamer, what do you, Mr. Gamer, what do you think about the news about Square Enix?
Honestly, good riddance, man. Good riddance. Because here's the thing: I have no hopes for. I don't even know why we're talking about like high hopes for. Oh, I hope that this happens, or like I hope this doesn't get canceled, or whatever. Honestly, Square Enix, they deserve. They got exactly what they deserve, man. Because when you screw people over like this, and when you make false promises that that they don't actually fucking keep, and then you try to sway them with like assuring them, oh, you will get more of Aerith, or you will get more of this and that, and it's like,
man, that Aerith shit. That Aerith shit is horrible, bro. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You could, like, people could like the gameplay or whatever. That shit where he's still talking to Aerith after she died. Well, I'm giving spoilers, but Jesus Christ, that's so fucking bad. Like, I can't believe that this guy wrote that into the story, man. And like, again, I won't knock the graphics are good. The gameplay from what I've seen, the combat looks okay, but what they did to the narrative is like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. It's fucking disgusting, honestly. I can't believe that that was the game that they made and wasn't fan fiction. Like, it's unbelievable to me that was an official game made by Square Enix.
Honestly, Jen, you and Melina are way too kind. Just don't say sorry at all about anything with this studio and whatever. Just
you're right. You're right. Fuck you. Kiss my ass, you bitches. Woo! Honestly, all right, but I get what you mean.
Yeah, honestly, man. And the thing is, I'm not even joking about it because I fucking hate liars in real life, man. I can't stand these dipshits and fucking Sony cocksuckers. Every time I hear them, trying to make excuses in the same way, fucking wrestling fans try to make excuses for one company when they clearly fuck up, and I just can't stand.
You know what it sounds like to me? It sounds to me like gluck. You know what I mean? That gluck.
It's just fucking annoying, which is why I don't think that Dragon Quest another Dragon Quest game is going to be made. I don't think that a Kingdom Hearts 4 is going to be made. And honestly, with Kingdom Hearts 3, we got the most human side to the main character Sora, which I've really been wanting. And if they were to end the game on that note, it's perfect. I just don't see how they will continue the story to that or whatever else.
They should just end it. They should just really end that. That shit is so convoluted. Like, it's not hard to understand, but it's convoluted.
and it's like, see, folks can say whatever they want about, RE Village and RE7, but at least they confirm it by the end that this is the end of the Ethan family, and and whatever comes with RE8 or RE9, I hope it's Jill, honestly. But yeah, it's just like Square Enix needs to get their shit together and actually create something new, or if they're going to make a Final Fantasy game, have it not be fucking Final Fantasy like 7 Part 3 or whatever.
Oh my god, bro! You don't understand how frustrating that is for me. The 7 Part 3, Part 2 shit, and then like all the padding and justification and story changes to make it make sense within 3 games is like so bad to me.
Real quick, Jinpachi. Yeah, I don't mean to interrupt you. To what Solo said, I think he's referring to Stellar Blade. I believe Stellar Blade is using Unreal Engine 5, from what I understand, and that's like the engine that's for like current gen only games. So because I believe isn't Rebirth using Unreal Engine 5? So I know with Remake they used Unreal Engine 4. I think they switched to 5.
To be honest, I don't know.
And I believe Stellar Blade, is using Unreal Engine 5.
I think Stellar Blade looks really good visually. Yeah. So I don't know. It looks pretty good to me, and the frame rate helps things a lot too. So
yeah. But anyway, that's what you were saying about Final Fantasy.
No, that they just chopped it into 3 games, and then like when you chop a story into 3 games, now you have to pad them out so that they feel like full games. And then all the changes with Sephiroth appearing like where he shouldn't.
Constantly.
You're fighting forms that are for the end game of like the finality of the series. I mean of the game.
I hated when I saw that.
And then like it's just padded out.
He's fighting with Zack. He's fighting with Aerith. I'm like, what is going on?
And here's the thing for me: the gameplay and the graphics look nice. And I feel like if that was just one complete remake of the first game of 7, it would actually be good. It would actually be worth playing, because I actually do like how the combat is and how in 7 and remake. And
that's what everyone.
And
thought.
I like the visuals.
Thought it would be.
And I like the visuals.
It would be fairly faithful, but unfortunately, chopped into more than one game. But then it turns out towards the latter half of Remake, that's clearly not the case. And they were already hinting, there were already signs of that anyway throughout Remake, but it just exacerbated once that portal opened. At least that's how I felt.
And to me it's a shame, because they made a solid foundation with the gameplay and visuals, but then like the art design, but then the actual game has a fucked up story. It's like chopped up nonsense. So if you never played those games before and don't have any previous experience with the series, I could see how some people might like it. But like if you've played 7 remake, I mean 7 the original, like it's no surprise that a lot of people don't like the changes they made. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, I just think I think that's why the sales are like that, because you're dividing the classic, a lot of the classic fans with the people that are more casual.
I think that's what really played a factor with Rebirth sales.
Exactly, and you want to know what made what made fights like the one in Final Fantasy VI between Kefka and the entire party worked so well, or Yunalesca and in Final Fantasy X, or even like, for example, another example. In Final Fantasy, 8. I mean, what makes these final fights work so well is the build up, and of course the final conversation, and how it goes to show that even when it seems like all hope is lost, they stand defiant. So when Aerith was just killed abruptly like that, we didn't have time or room to breathe, since we need to focus on Sephiroth, and then once everything was settled, we are able to grasp the fact that Earth is dead, and
that's what makes the ending so good, because I'm not going to spoil it, because if you didn't play the original but only played Rebirth, you're not at that point of the story yet. But that's what makes the ending so good, because like you don't get closure on Aerith's death. Aerith dies suddenly, and then you just don't hear from her again, and it leaves a empty feeling if you were invested in the character. So toward the end of the game, you have this tragedy happens where and then also the portrayal of Aerith in the original game is like this sweet, kind girl who just wants to do the right thing. And then out of all the characters with all their flaws, this kind-hearted girl takes the brunt of the worst thing that could happen to any of them.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just And I was just gonna say, and then the moment is sudden, and then you're forced to continue the story because they still have to stop Sephiroth, and it leaves this lingering feeling. So when you show her constantly talking to Cloud after this death scene, it cheapens it, it ruins it, it ruins the impact of her death.
Exactly, and it's so overdone. It's like, Sephiroth's ultimate attack, Supernova. In the original game, it is menacing, man. But in Rebirth, they made such a big deal about it that it takes away from just how when he actually does it, just how it shows this long montage of the planets being destroyed and such. And that when it finally hits, oh boy, it left like a huge impact. But when you see cutscenes of Supernova and all that in Rebirth, it takes away from it being intimidating and just how threatening it's supposed to be when they make it so grand and just cringe,
Yeah, I agree. And like, there's so many things. I'm like, again, I'm gonna be fair to the people in the chat because I don't want to spoil too much of it, because I mean, if they want to play the game or whatever, but there's so many things with the story that were like just drastically fucked up that, like, I get that people like the gameplay and the visuals, and I can understand that from like a certain perspective, but it's just like knowing what the original game was and like the flow of the story and like the pacing, and to see what they did with that is like so egregious to me. It's so bad. Like
Exactly.
It's like I understand that people are gonna like what they like, but I think to that same token that people need to understand that this isn't a new IP. This is a game that people grew up with that had sentimental value to them. As crazy as that sounds, a story can have sentimental value, but
Yeah, it can.
and
it
but
has. I mean,
it means something to people.
Years, so yeah, it was
so
impactful at the time, and then it's like they just
Mhm.
ruin it. So many years later, people were anticipating it, and then it's like,
and then on top of that, it's not just that the story has been changed, like Resident Evil 2 or 3, where they make some changes. It's like even like they added like multiversal Kingdom Hearts bullshit in there too, which is like it's even cheaper. It makes it even cheaper. Like
it really is.
And like Zach, the thing about Zach was that he had a bit of mystery to him because you don't directly interact with the character outside of a few scenes. But then to do what they did with that final battle, I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like,
and it's like it's honestly fucking stupid because it's not even about showing Zack or no, I'm sorry. The original game. It's more about the impact a character has on like a group of a group of like people or an individual. Like when you have a figure who has this much of an impact over someone without you actually knowing that much about said figure, like in this case Zack, and we see him more, it just doesn't make him look as it doesn't give you the same feel of who Zack is supposed to, what he's supposed to represent to Cloud and to others who knew him, as opposed to how he's depicted in the remake, like in Rebirth or whatever the fuck it's supposed to be. Honestly, this honestly,
they might as well just call it retarded.
Well, for the reasons that we described, it's going to be a mixed bag. Like, and that's why I feel like, in my opinion, that's why that game didn't do as well, because, like I said, people saw the writing on the wall with remake, and it affected how their willingness to be hyped for Rebirth, and it made a lot of people turned off to it. Like, I'll give you an example for me personally. Like, Resident Evil 2 remake. Resident Evil 2, the original, is my favorite game. Right? I'm gonna be honest. That's my favorite Resident Evil game. Period. Everyone has their favorites. I like what they did with remake, and I think anyone who played both games knows that the remake has a lot of drastic changes. But I like it because as the story flows better, because there's no Claire A, Claire B. Like it's in the game, but it's not highly like separated. So it feels like both their stories are taking place at the same time, which I like the pacing of. But what they did, for example, to Birkin's dog form, where they made it a mass of eyeballs, I thought that was objectively worse, right? I thought that shit fucking sucked. But overall, I still think the game is good despite being different. So I think with Rebirth, the differences are, it's okay that it's like different. It doesn't have to be a carbon copy, but to drastically change so much of the content, it's gonna naturally make people not want to buy it.
Exactly. And Square Enix are wondering why they're losing money, because when they keep expanding and just trying to prolong the story and make it grander than it's supposed to be. It's like, are they going to do something? Are they going to pull this crap with Final Fantasy VI? Because Final Fantasy VI, and honestly, if you ask me, is a much better game than Final Fantasy VII. It doesn't have the same impact as Final Fantasy VII, but honestly, it is the better game, and especially with the antagonist Kefka and how, I mean, I want to ask you, Jen and Rev, who do you think is a better antagonist, Sephiroth or Kefka, especially regarding his role as an antagonist?
Well, I'll let Revenant take this one first.
To be fair, I'm more familiar with Sephiroth as a character.
Sephiroth was voiced by Lance Bass in the first Kingdom Hearts game.
Wow, I didn't know that. They were in sync with that one, right?
Yeah, right. But I don't know, but because Kefka's a good character, he's a good antagonist too. So, like,
I don't know, man.
It's kind of hard to say. I mean,
I think Sephiroth is a little bit more of like a standard villain. Not like standard, but like more like of a typical villain. That's actually why I prefer Ultimate. That's why I like 8 more than 7 for the most part, because I feel like 8 is more of like not a typical story. There's much more like weird dynamic shit happening with the characters.
That's kind of how I felt with Final Fantasy 12. I can't remember his name though.
And in the first Kingdom Hearts, Squall was voiced by David Boreanaz, aka Angel.
See, that's cool. You know what though? I don't like Kingdom Hearts' portrayal of Squall. I think they did him a disservice. To be honest.
Leon?
And naming him Leon was an abomination against God, and they should all be smited for that. They should all be smited.
Oh yeah, but
No, it is interesting. I actually like that show.
It's interesting. It's just that I hate that version of Squall.
Yeah, Sam. But
he actually did a good job voicing him, though. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
You know what's funny?
The issue is the way
circling,
his name and everything.
Circling back, David Boreanaz at one point would be a great casting for Chris Redfield, depending on what point in the story. Not anymore because he's fucking old, but there was a time where I personally felt like he could have pulled it off, but whatever.
Oh, no,
that's not
Jen,
even there.
No, Jen. Let's not go there because he's way too effeminate to even play someone like Chris. I don't care how he's got that pretty boy face, which isn't Chris. And Chris has that. He's a lot masculine. I thought you would know this, Jen. I honestly thought you would know this, but regardless.
But I'll say this before you continue. I'll show you what I mean later. Because I think that because you haven't seen him in anything else, right? Only Angel.
I've seen him in Angel in this show called Bones, and that's about it.
Okay, there's other there's other stuff that he's in where I feel like I'll show it to you, and then you can still have your opinion. I respect your opinion. It's your opinion versus mine, but I'll show you why I think that, because there's some movies he's in, like some roles where he looks like I feel like he could pull it off. Not every version of Chris, but specific ones. But anyway, but to each their own,
Yeah, but the thing about Kefka,
who would you cast before we move on? Who would you cast?
Man, I'm trying to think of it. I would say, and I'm not like certain on him yet, but I would say to an extent Michael Biehn. He's got that rough look to him. Someone who is not a pretty boy, but someone who's got that he's got that
masculineness about him, like manliness. So to speak.
Yeah. Either him or fucking. I don't know if this is a good choice at all, but Dennis Leary, I know.
I can't agree with that. I'm sorry, not Dennis Leary, bro. Come on.
No, exactly. Yeah, I can't think of anyone besides Michael Biehn, but other than him, I'm not. I need to get back to you on this.
Yeah. It's an interesting conversation because that's a tough character to cast for, to be honest. Yeah, it is interesting.
Exactly.
But yeah, we can move on to Kefka now. Sorry, we got derailed.
No.
So
I like Kefka.
Either Kyle Reese. You said either Kyle Reese or Diego the Saber-Toothed Tiger.
Diego the Saber-Toothed Tiger, you mean like...
Dennis Leary, he voiced him.
Oh, I did not know that. But regarding Kefka, the thing is, when they... when that kind of antagonist, man, I knew from the moment I finished this game that this character and his laughter, his iconic laughter, is going to stick with me. And there's something about this guy that, you know, it's like Sephiroth is, like you said, is a conventional villain who's he's poor him. But with Kefka, he's like this, his psychology, man, and just the thing about him is what really makes this game so popular, because I don't hear anyone talking about Terra, who's the actual main character, or anyone that. And if someone's going to, like, you know, start basically a psychoanalysis on any Final Fantasy character, I would say they could do that on Kefka, because this guy hides behind a clown persona, even though underneath you can feel a lot of his malice and disgust with a lot of things. And unlike the other Final Fantasy villains, excluding maybe Arden in Final Fantasy 15, he technically won, Kefka did, when he destroyed the world and such. But even though the world's destroyed, the good guys still wouldn't give up. And it's this kind of storytelling I miss Square for, and not what they currently, you know, are doing. And
his hatred was more subtle. It was much more of a subtle hatred, and it like.
But Sephiroth it was pretty like blatant, like in your face, like you knew like his intentions and his malice and all that. So Kefka is more like kind of slowly brooding in a way.
Exactly, and his role, it was slowly growing and growing. And I love one scene with these two guards in the desert where Kefka simply commented how he has dirt on his shoes, and without even ordering the guards to clean the dirt off, they did so, and he simply commented how they're, like, you know, idiots. And it just gives you a small insight into his character and how it's like he's like in his own world in a way, you know.
I think it's underrated. That game is very underrated.
Yeah, it doesn't get talked about as much as it should, to be honest.
I feel like even with 8, like, people bash the draw system or whatever, but I don't think people really grasp like the cosmic horror ramifications of Ultimisha's plan. Like, it's not simple destruction; it's like permanent slavery forever, which is like far worse in my opinion. Like, it's crazy. People they don't like. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying like it takes like this high intellect to understand a game. I just don't think a lot of people really like think about what the end game for that story was. Like, it was some very dark shit going on, especially at the end. So anyway, let's rotate people out. Wrap things up. Yeah,
we're gonna wrap it up with everyone's final thoughts on the Stellar Blade censorship. Dan Nerd, I know he left. I don't know if he's coming back or not. If he wants to, just come back, of course. But yeah, I'm gonna rotate Mr. Gamer and Christian real quick, and then I'll bring you guys.
Let them give them their thoughts first, and then rotate, since they're already here.
You can give your
that
thoughts.
Makes more sense, right?
Yeah, guys can give your thoughts, and if you want, you can do your outros, or you can still stay, and I'll just bring you back on for your outros. But you guys can still give your thoughts on this whole censorship.
Actually, for the sake of consistency, let's do our outros and final thoughts now.
Okay, all right.
That way you don't have to rotate back and forth, you know.
Okay, yeah. All right. So whichever one of you guys want to go first with your thoughts on it.
I'll go first.
Okay.
Well, I'm not a fan of the censorship of Stellar Blade at all. Like I said before, Sony doesn't allow attractive women, but they allow characters to go fourth base with a bear, which is gross.
Yeah.
Well said. Yeah. Yep. So, you do have an outro, Christian?
Well, I thought Stellar Blade was a pretty good game minus the censorship, and I have some clips of it on my YouTube channel.
All right, so everybody check that out, and that'll be awesome.
Yep.
All right, so thanks for coming on, Christian. Always appreciate you.
I'm waiting until the censorship goes away for a patch.
Yeah, I'm hoping that too. I'm hoping that too.
Hopefully they address that this week at least. So.
Okay, bye.
See ya, bro. Have a good
Later,
one.
Christian. Thanks for stopping by.
I'll keep this short and sweet. Fuck censorship, fuck Shift Up, and fuck Sony, and definitely fuck Square Enix. Honestly. And as for my intro, well, I don't know who mentioned Hunk being Doom, but I got a
That was
Hunk
Apollo
tribute.
Patriot.
Oh yeah, Apollo Patriot. I got a Hunk tribute, which surprisingly got over 30. I don't know how. I don't know if it's 30,000 or 3,000. God knows how many, but it definitely exploded more than it exploded beyond my expectation. But I cover
Nice.
stuff regarding games on my first channel, Mr. Gamer 990. If you want to check out stuff relating to films, animes, television, etc., you can check out my second channel, Yusuf Al Sened, which is my real name. The links for that is on my main channel as well, and vice versa. And yeah, I pretty much cover everything, books as well. And it's been fun chatting with you, Rev and Jen.
Yep, no problem. Always glad having you on here, man. It's good to have
Oh,
different
yeah.
perspectives and hear
Yep.
different opinions and different voices. Like I said, I know I'm a little bit of like a passionate guy, so but I appreciate everyone coming on and giving and saying what they have to say. So always good to see you, man. And we'll talk about that Chris thing later because I'll show you what I'm talking about. Like at least visually, but yeah, I got you.
Oh yeah, I was going to mention that, but I'll get back to you on that.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later. Yeah, I'll catch you later, man.
Appreciate you coming on, Mr. Gamer. Real quick, Dan Nerd messaged me. He told me his power. He was having issues with his power.
Okay.
So, but he did thank me for having him on. So,
okay.
I appreciate Dan Nerd coming on, giving his perspective. I mean, yeah, we didn't fully agree, but
but hey, it's good.
It's good to have a different perspective because other people can, decide whether if they agree with him or not, or whichever. You can hear both sides of it, and decide from there. So I appreciate him coming on.
And also, despite disagreeing, I do appreciate him coming on. A lot of, it's hard to come on into a space where you have like a strong disagreement with somebody. It's like a thing that most people aren't willing to do. Yep. So I appreciate him coming on, and anybody who's interested in seeing more of him, check out his channel. And
Dan Nerd.
Dan Nerd, and
yeah, he's still the homie regardless.
He's cool. He's cool. Listen, he has some good. He has takes that I agree with as well. So he says things I do agree with sometimes too. So, but it's just that in this case, it's oil and vinegar. So all right. So moving on. So you want to give your outro, Y2?
All right. I do live streams on weekends. Upload videos on weekdays. And on my Y2 Retro Y2 Retro channel, aka my Retro channel, it recently reached 100 subscribers. So if you like old school stuff or anything like that, I definitely should check out. But for my normal channel, I've been uploading walkthroughs, been doing recent news videos, and a whole lot of stuff, especially my wrestling gaming videos. That's about it.
Oh, nice.
Thank
Make
you.
sure you check out Y2 Viral. He puts out good content. He's very creative too.
Thank you.
So, Melina Chan, you got a outro? Or oh yeah, you guys were supposed to give your final thoughts on the Celeblade stuff too, if you wanted to.
Look,
yeah, he can go first.
All right, so it's just Sony is like between the Hell Diver shit and the Stellblade stuff, they are they are really looking bad right now. Like they're making they having all these people refunding some of the stuff. Not all of them, of course, but some of them, and that's hurting the companies that put passion and hard work into these video games, and they have to be fucked over by Sony because of they censorship bullshit. So that's my fun thought.
I agree.
Yeah, well said, man. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So Melina Chan.
What I think on the censorship is absolutely ridiculous. Like I the heat for this game is insane. It really just goes to show that a lot of people are really really bothered. A lot of people. But I guess that's doing something right if it is disturbing the ones that are against it. But then again, it's just one game. Why can't we just have one game? You
Yeah.
know, in a while,
Right.
this has been what one game in a long time, like a few years where it, you
Damn
know,
near
that
360 era.
yeah, pretty much the
Mhm.
360 era, and we can't have this one W. Like, you already infiltrated the space. There's plenty of games that have wokeness all over it, but we can't just have this one game. I just find it, and then on top of that, you didn't give us the full product. You pulled back, like held back, and censored it at the last moment too, and then just served to us on the platter. And you think we wouldn't notice that, and
Yep.
didn't expect anybody to say anything. You really wanted everybody to just hush up and be quiet,
Bend over
like
for
some
it, right?
people. Yes,
Yep.
and bend over with them. Yeah, real wide. And then you have certain people that feel like
You'll
we
gotta
should just
take
be
it.
quiet anyway. Yeah, just go ahead and take it. And
But you know
you already
what?
got some people believing that.
In a way,
Mhm.
it's kind of a good thing this happened, because if this might be the thing that finally kicks the hornet's nest, where like even people that
Yes.
were more like didn't care that much, they're gonna say, wait, I'm tired of this. I thought we were gonna have this one thing, as you said, and whatever. You can only kick the hornet's nest so many times before it backfires on you, right?
Mhm.
So
Right. That's exactly it. So I find it as definitely as this was a purpose. This was meant to happen, and that this wasn't no like accident. I think this will likely be the game that will have people discuss a lot more.
yeah,
I just
Yep.
want the ones to like instead of just feeling like, well, we got what we got. You know, it's not the full product, but we should just be okay with it. No, you don't. Please don't just settle for less. You know, you want
we need
more.
people like you speaking out too, Melina,
Mhm.
because it's easy to like what was discussed earlier. Say, oh, you guys look like virgins or incels, but you know what, Melina, you're a girl. You know, you enjoy these games, you enjoy these things, so you know it's good that they see that other people are speaking out, not just the made up demographic that they want to pretend are the only people that are against censorship.
Yeah. Shout out to all the
Yeah.
females that are talking about this.
Mhm.
Because we need more of you
So
guys to
I
let them
say
know what's really
Oh
going
yeah,
on
most
and
definitely.
how
I
everyone
say it I
feels.
say it every time, because like I
Same.
said, like it kills their narrative
Yeah.
Mhm.
Real
when
quick.
they see
Yeah.
other, whatever. And even like people like myself that are like, I game
Yeah.
and stuff, but I also do a lot of things in like my personal life and in the real world as well. Like people that
Oh
aren't
yeah.
like your typical standard gamer, but they're gonna talk about this stuff and be passionate about it, because
Yeah.
you need
Yep.
more of that.
We really
Yes, I
appreciate
appreciate it. Thank you. I'm gonna really try to honestly, because I don't know where to start, but finally coming on to your channel, Revenant, and then speaking with you too, Jinpachi. So it's the start. I personally don't know any other women content creators that do speak out. I know, I'm pretty sure we're rare, but I personally don't know, and I really do appreciate the encouragement, because I know it's hard as men to speak out against this, and then it's easy
yeah.
for people to say, "Well, you guys are just losers and porn addicts," and
Mhm.
literally putting that toxic masculinity onto each other. So for me to step in and be like, well, I'm a woman and I'm into that stuff too. So am I a virgin and I'm a loser as well? I can't get no dudes,
Yeah,
or I'm
exactly.
ugly or
Yeah.
something like that. So it's
Exactly.
like, I could, welcome in the smoke too. And also for women as well, because I'm pretty sure there'll be
Yeah.
um
Like
I hate to say, well, I don't hate to say it, because it is the truth. Us women can be very mean and brutal towards each other. So I
yeah.
know as a woman that those who are on the other side would likely come bring smoke my way, say that I'm a woman hater, or may call me out of my name and say a whole bunch of things that I'm not, when really
Yeah, yeah. And say like pick me and all this BS bullshit.
yes, I'm a pick me, but I'm not. I'm not any of those things, and they know that. That's just what their argument's going to be, to push me back in the corner and to silence myself and
Mhm.
make me feel bad about myself for speaking up for
Yeah.
something that it's I mean, there's nothing wrong with. It's perfectly fine. So I'm glad that
It's
I could
normal.
bring. Yeah, it's normal. It's normal. You know, because I can't say it's. I don't want to say it's full on good because it is having to do with private parts and such. But you know, it's just something that's always been around. And no, and because I know that the gaming industry, like video games, are more for the audience is more directed towards men because mainly men play video games, boys play video games, not much of a girl thing. And I understand that, or you know, of course, we women would be the minority. So I know that the sexy women and all that is more gaze. I mean, it's more pointed towards the male gaze. But I
Well, I'll
mean,
tell you something crazy.
huh?
A friend I have, a friend I have. I'm not going to say her name. She actually direct messaged me because I uploaded a story of Stellar Blade, and she literally
Hmm.
messaged me, said, What game is that? I want to play it." And I told her the game, and then I said it's on PS5. She said, "Oh, I can customize my characters like that. I definitely want to play it." So
Mm-hmm.
I
See,
mean, like,
That
yeah,
you'll be
shows you right
surprised
there.
how many women like that stuff. And you know what? I'm not gonna throw her name out there like that, but she's like in shape. She's like, she looks like an Instagram model. Like, she's not like an incel or some chick who's like inside playing games all day. So an average person is females into that stuff too. As an example, like, it's not this narrative that they create that they try to paint us all in, like, oh, she's a pick me, or she's just trying to do whatever, or disco whatever. It's like, you'll be shocked, like, how many people, how fake that argument really is.
it is. It's very
So
disingenuous, and it's just not honest. It's very. It's I said not honest, dishonest. It's very dishonest because if I'm living proof of it, then that just debunks it right there. It's unrealistic, like you know, and I'm not into. I'm all for it, and I'm not even into women like that. If that even
yeah,
adds
yeah.
to like the argument, because you know, it's like I'm a woman and I appreciate a woman's body. So you know, I have no problem complimenting a woman that looks beautiful. I love her hair, her shoes, her clothes, her outfit, and you
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
just this it's normal. There's nothing wrong with that. So for the ones that are that are against it, that just and they wanted us to be men all of a sudden, no, that is what's not realistic. But you know,
They
I
can
love
kiss our
Silver, but I
collective
still haven't.
ass.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
they most certainly can.
Yeah.
Yes, real good too, because man, y'all are really getting on my nerves because this is how bogus it is. And this, like, just let us have this one game. And I haven't got it yet, so I'm just watching bits of, but I'm trying not to because I don't want to be spoiled. But
Well,
I
it's a good
will
thing you missed my
soon,
last stream,
hopefully.
because I did the whole ending of the
Yeah.
game in my last stream. So
Yeah, I
Oh, you
purposely
did?
avoided it. Yeah.
Okay. Because I popped up in the middle of the night, and because I was asleep. I had fell asleep, and I
hey,
had the
hey,
notification that said that she
no,
streamed, and I
don't say
missed it. And it said it was
say no
private.
more. Say no more. Say no more. Say no more. Because
So
in the end, you didn't get spoiled. You didn't get spoiled.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that means you
But
got through it pretty fast.
kind of, I mean, yeah, the final, I beat like all 4 last final bosses in like 2 hours or something, like less than 2 hours. Like, it wasn't that crazy. But then again, I did basically as much as I could. So Eve was pretty powerful by the end of the game.
Shit.
So
Okay.
I
is what it
finished
That
it
is.
means
last
the
night.
game
And
is
I
not
thought I
that
was gonna
long.
pull all nighter.
It's not that long if you don't do the side stuff, but the problem is if you don't do the side stuff, the fights are going to be way harder because you're not going to have like certain items and like certain upgrades and whatnot.
Yeah,
So
you
I
should
guess it
do at least
depends.
a decent amount of
It
side quests
depends.
at least.
Yeah, because it depends how good you are at those. Like, I could see somebody who's really good at those games beating it with no upgrades because of like just the way the combat is, but you'll have a hard time, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be definitely a challenge. That's hard mode right there, or
But you know what?
hardcore, I guess. Yeah.
Once you get the game and you play through it yourself, you can watch my hard mode playthrough from the beginning, so that way you won't get spoiled.
Okay, I'm gonna most certainly do that.
I'm kind of talking on my ass, like, don't pay it. I'm just like talking shit. But anyway, it's
Don't worry about
it's
that.
good. Thanks for coming on. You're always welcome.
Yeah.
We always appreciate you. It's always good to hear your
Oh,
perspective. And the next
thank
podcast
you.
we do, you're more than welcome to come.
Yep. Just
Thank
like
you. I
always.
really appreciate this.
Yeah, you cool.
I made a
Musician.
right decision because you guys are very chill and laid back and
Yeah.
just not
Mhm.
even when discussing trying to fight for, just to realistically, or I guess you could say the side of good. I'm glad it's not like toxic and aggressive. It's just very chill and laid back. So
Yeah.
just credit to you guys
Yeah.
We
and
ain't doing no
everybody
Booker
in the
T in
comment
WCW.
section, the audience. Huh?
I said we ain't doing no Booker T in WCW with Hulk
Oh
Hogan.
no.
You know what I mean?
Yes. Oh, may I say one or two things on the Sheva thing right quick? If it's okay.
Oh
If
yeah,
not, it's
sure.
perfectly fine.
Go ahead. Yeah,
Yes.
for sure.
I had saw to respond to Mr. Gamer, his comment when he responded to mine was pretty ouch, cause um Sheva was already a character, like an established character, for the game. It wasn't because I thought so too. I thought that originally her conception was made to die down the controversy,
Yeah, that's what I
but she
thought too.
was.
I honestly don't know. I thought that as well.
Yeah.
Oh no, she was. I had found out that she was already an established character. She just wasn't. She was still in the works. So when the trailer came out, it was mainly Chris up front and center, and then when it came out, and Sheva was his partner. Then, which I can see a lot of people that got. Because again, I did too. Got that perspective of, oh, she was just made to die down the controversy. But no, but you can tell that she was, because based off how the story went with you could tell she wasn't shoehorned in. Like it was actually a genuine conception with her being the representative for Africa. It wouldn't make sense for Claire to be like, I understand Mr. Gamer's point, but it wouldn't make sense for Claire and Chris to be partners in that game. Like for Resident Evil 5, like with Resident Evil 5 story mode, still facing Wesker and all that, it wouldn't make sense because Claire is not BSAA. She was never even a cop, so it wouldn't make sense for her to be partnered up with him anyway. And then that would get more controversy because people are going to say, well, you got two white people going to Africa shooting up a bunch of black people. That would make it worse.
That's
felt like kind of like almost like a tour guide for Chris, where it's like,
well,
I
mean,
yes, that's basically it.
To be fair,
kind of help them like go forward on where to go or what to do, and also like the people within the inhabitants and all.
Exactly.
That.
I mean,
right? Yeah, she would know that.
For to play devil's advocate, if I were to write Claire into the game, I would have her do something similar to Revelations 2, where she's like a relief person, like she's with like this relief group.
Wasn't it called like Terra Save that she had in
Terra Save?
And
then I would make it that she's working in Africa and that she's been there for a while already. So Chris meets up with her within Africa. That's how I would write it if it was me writing it. So I think it could work, but I still agree with what you're saying that that Sheva makes more sense within the narrative of the story. I just think it would have been cool if Chris and Claire teamed up, considering what happened in Code Veronica. And I think they could have written that in if they wanted to. You know, whether they did or I mean, honestly, they didn't. But I feel like they could have written it in, but
could have worked. Yeah.
But I agree with you that it makes sense that Sheva is like guiding him around and whatnot. So.
Yes, and I agree with your take on her fitting her into the story. Yeah, so she's not the most. I'll admit, even though I love Sheva as one of my favorite Resident Evil female or woman characters and video game characters in general, I will admit that she's not the most deep or compelling character. She still has her backstory, but she still is likable, and I just wouldn't want to, she's a rookie, so that adds more to that. So I wouldn't want to take that away, and I guess that balances Chris out, someone who's already been in the game for so long, but he's in a new territory to where he wouldn't know. So it would make sense to have a representative. Make them both useful and still make a good team together.
Chris is experienced with monsters, but Sheva's experienced with like the area and the region.
Yes, and she too has her experience with being with her backstory, like in the village and her parents being experimented on. Thus, why that was her motivation for joining the BSAA.
That was pretty dark too.
And it is pretty dark when you think about it. So I don't want to take that away or discredit Sheva's character, or at least her conception, because he said that he doesn't basically care because he doesn't trust him. But it's like that was at the time though. Now you can say you don't trust Capcom, but I would say back then, I would say they still had their credibility, and if the voice actress, to some degree, right. So you don't want to discount that. And I love Claire too, I really do. But you might as well say Jill should have been his partner throughout Africa if she wasn't brainwashed or any of that, because I understand. Well, Claire had new beef, like newly found beef with Wesker and Code Veronica, but it would make sense for Chris and Jill because they had beef with him ever since Resident Evil 1, since that was supposed to be the game for their final showdown. So,
and I mean, she was in the game. She ended up being put in the game, so it did turn out that way. I think like I think that like either way could have worked. I mean, what could have worked and what they could have implemented doesn't matter because what they actually did do was put Sheva in there. So and Jill. So all we can go by is what they really actually did in the end. But I mean, like, that's fine. And you can't forget the one major thing about Sheva. And you know what that is? What? She had them outfits still. You know what I'm saying?
She did.
But
my favorite's the Red Riding Hood.
Oh yeah.
That one too. Yeah, that's a good one.
But ultimately,
they have like good ass costumes on there.
But ultimately, it's been a fun podcast. Thanks for everyone coming on.
Appreciate you guys a lot.
Most definitely, bro.
And
glad
and appreciate everyone who was watching, commenting, anyone watching the replay when obviously this is already over. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here on time. I'm so grateful to be here, bro.
Who knows? Maybe one day we'll get a Resident Evil game. We'll have Jill, Claire, Chris, all of them in it. The true final showdown.
And
don't forget Rebecca Chambers.
Oh, can't forget.
Yes, I love Rebecca. Don't forget about her.
Bring Billy back.
But all right, guys.
So
thanks for everyone.
What happened to him?
And Carlos too, yeah. But thanks for everyone for coming on. We appreciate you, and everyone who watched and stood through the whole thing. Thank you, and anyone who's watching the replay. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Yeah, next time it will be on Saturday.
Oh, I forgot. I don't have much of an outro, but I'm still getting my channel and everything together. But I appreciate any support my way on Twitter X and YouTube. But yes, I appreciate it
for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Melina, don't be afraid to reach out for collabs. That's what they're for. So.
Oh yes, I would love to.
That can help. I mean, things like that help the channel. Same with Y2. Or I say that to a lot of people. Like, if you want, we can collab. I don't mind.
Yeah.
I would. And besides,
I'm very shy.
It's easier to talk about these things when you have someone to bounce off of, even if it's negative. It's just like sometimes when you're talking alone on camera, it's hard because you have to convey your ideas directly, and you have no one else to like directly talk to. So sometimes, like in this case, if you make a video, you have me or Revenant or somebody else on, you can interact back and forth, and it might make discussing these things easier, at least in the beginning, till you get comfortable and then do them yourself. Just a thought, but.
Oh no, I appreciate it. I appreciate it because I was very nervous. I still kind of am.
You're good.
So I hope I've been all right.
You're doing well. You're doing really good.
Oh, thank you.
So hopefully, so hopefully in the near future I could do a collaboration with y'all guys. So hopefully
that'd be cool. Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely.
For sure. Especially with WWE, you do some WWE stuff. So.
Oh yeah. Most definitely.
Now that I got 2K14, I got a 2K14, 24. Yeah. I gotta mix. I gotta make some.
All right. So let's close things out.
Yeah, we definitely gotta do that.
Let's close things out. We're going on and on. All right. So thanks for watching. Thank you everybody for coming on, and we'll catch you on the next one. See you guys.
Peace.
All right, peace.
Bye. See you.